how that. Oh, there you go. Hi.
There it goes. Hi. How's it going, everybody?
Sorry.
It's Sunday, and
Yeah.
we're here. I'm
Yeah.
on my phone, so if you see my big fat fingers coming in there trying to poke at stuff, it's
Yeah.
trying to figure out all these settings on the phone here. So Rasa
Mm.
is with me, and then Damien is on his way sooner than later. So we're here. Holy
Yeah.
smokes!
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. 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 Good.
Yeah,
Well,
good.
hopefully you had a good Easter. We
Yeah,
had not such a bad Easter, and nothing special
yeah. No,
overly.
nothing
So,
special for us either.
yeah. So
Yeah.
quiet, nice. We two of us. Well, three of us actually.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Two and a half of us. Yeah. My son is still kind of.
Right, right. He's a half.
Yeah. Hi, Andrew Lopez.
Hello,
Uh,
Andrew Lopez.
so yeah, so it was fun.
Yeah.
But are you up to date with your Moon Knight?
No, we've decided that we're gonna wait until it's done and then binge them because since Lillian isn't watching it with us and it's just gonna be
Mm-hmm.
me, Alicia, and my son Jaden, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna just wait since we've missed. I think we've missed how many episodes have aired now? 4 or 3?
I think it's 4.
4, yeah. So we've missed the last 3. So we figure we're just gonna wait and then we'll just watch them all at once. Have you kept up?
Yeah.
And
So
is it?
I can't spoil it for you then.
No, don't. Yeah, no, for sure not. But I mean, is it still good? Like, are you still enjoying it?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very entertaining and you want more. So I guess I can understand why people like you're doing the right thing sometimes, because when we watch it like episode each week,
Yeah.
it feels like you finish it and you're like, what the fuck, and you get frustrated
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you want more. So
Yeah.
I guess when you binge watch, but the thing is, I don't know how you manage to stay away from it, but the Moon Knight talk about that show is everywhere. It's so
Oh,
difficult not to get spoiled.
right.
So that's why I try to keep up. I don't know how you do. Like, I guess you're lucky enough not to.
I don't see a lot on my social media, and I mean
That's
the
good.
amount of time that I'm on there these days is
Yeah.
sometimes a little less. So,
Mhm.
and if I see anything that even looks Moon Knight, I just scroll right by it. I don't even take a second look. But
That's
honestly,
good.
it's not much on my feed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost spoiled the episode for myself once, but
Mhm.
thankfully I just like scrolled as quick as I could possibly do, and then
Right.
not to see it. But yeah, it's very entertaining, and
Yeah, cool.
so far is great. There's some like elements of the storyline they're saying the history wise, but it's like I think people do forget that it's a comic show.
Yeah,
They think they have to be very realistic history wise because they're in Egypt. They're
right.
talking about all the Egyptians' history. I don't know how much that's. I mean, as the thing is with the Moon Knight character, I've never found out about the character that much. I know the mystery part of it. I read slightly few things, which was just Jeff Lemire run for
Uh-huh.
like one volume, and I have not kept up with it because I don't want to keep up with Marvel in single format. I don't buy them in single format anyway. So I guess that my universe of knowing the character is very limited. So
Mhm.
for me, everything is very entertaining, and so far, I mean, I really like Oscar Isaacs, and the more
Yeah.
I watch of him, the more I like it.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great actor.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm really happy on that sense. Like, it seems to be that the guy really cares. It seems, and I like listen some interviews with him or the people working with him, and seems to be very passionate about the character. So it's
Uh-huh.
great. I didn't even know that he even asked Ethan Hawke to be the bad guy for them.
Oh, really? Hey.
So actually, they was working on something else, and he's
Uh-huh.
basically Ethan said to him, "It's like convince Kevin Feige to ask me to come there, and I will be
Right.
there, for you," kind
Yeah,
of thing. So, and then it's the best thing they did so far, because I think lots of people enjoying it.
That's cool.
I mean, at the end of the day, I am thoroughly
Yeah.
enjoying it. I feel like I'm not, like we were watching those Boba Fett and Mandalorian, great.
Yeah.
Boba Fett in particular was very frustrating for me in the Star Wars universe. But then seems to be this Moon Knight stuff is definitely very entertaining, and so far, very good. So, hello, Misso.
Hello, Miss So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. So is it still keeping its creepy vibe overall? Like, is it still kind of horror-ish?
No, it's more weird-ish.
Okay.
So they go more into this, like his
Right.
psychological things. So of course, with
Yeah.
all the evils and stuff like that, and all those gods, the god element, I thoroughly enjoyed. So you'll see the god stuff part, which was fantastic. And there's the last episode was moment, but not in a bad way. It's just because how they're trying to get to that split personality thing happening with him, and
Right.
and not only that there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things in this. I don't know how many there is in total, to be honest. So as I say, I don't know history behind Moon Knight that much, because when I was like, there's such a big history if any kind of comic book universe there is. But then this movies started coming out and people talking about it. And Moon Knight's always been kind of people's favorite because of similarities to, let's say, I heard Batman, because of that rich, has that, nighttime vigilante type of the superhero and stuff like that. So, and I wanted to get into it, but of course, books sold everywhere and you couldn't find it around. I mean, you could look for it if you really cared for looking, but if you don't, and you're just curiously seeing what there is available, it wasn't that time available for me, so I never read up to that character. I have a couple of single issues, some random volumes, but it's nothing. I read one issue and it was not making sense to me whatsoever. Sometimes you're lucky, you pick up an issue of comic book and you're like, oh yeah, I understand what's going on, but maybe because of the Moon Knight's such a crazy, I guess, head inside himself, and he doesn't the Khonshu and all that gods and stuff, and the way the Khonshu is portrayed in TV show, it's really nice because of that. The way, I mean, you saw the first episode, so it's really nicely done as well. And there's another god or shaped god that came through in the last episodes, which was hilarious. But as I say, I can't spoil it for you. You definitely gonna have to watch it up. And
that's cool.
It's really exciting and always entertaining for me. Let's say this way. Thoroughly loved it. It always seems to be like, oh, I want to know more. I want to see where they're gonna go, who are they gonna take. And there's lots of speculations going on with the characters.
Yeah, of course.
But I was like, please stop talking. Try to get away from that, because it spoils TV shows, to be honest. Because you start looking on those cues, and it's kind of like I want to be kind of like innocent part of the watching. That's how I am all the time. I don't know how you are when you watch the TV shows, but I don't try to put myself into like, oh, I expect this, because most of the time if I do that, I greatly get disappointed.
Right.
So if I completely shut my brain down and just watch the visuals and see what my brain accepts, and if that's entertaining for me, I'll probably go with that for the foreseeable future, whatever they're gonna go through that. But it's very exciting, very exciting.
Hello AFPC, and he's saying about the Lemire and Smallwood Moon Knight.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about as well.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out because I've only got a few issues of the Sienkiewicz stuff, and the only reason I went to it was because it was Sienkiewicz stuff, right? So I wanted to check his stuff out. I think I had a look through I know I didn't read all the issues because I just have a smattering of issues, right? So I mean, I wouldn't mind checking out the books, but I think those ones, and like you were telling me last time, I think we did the chat, you were saying the Smallwood stuff. So I'd love to see that just to kind of have a look at it.
Yeah, because as you know, both of us do enjoy the Smallwood stuff quite a lot. So, I mean, it's definitely very entertaining visually, for sure. The story-wise, it was kind of intriguing, but I've never fully understood because I just read maybe first volume of that run. And I don't know what stopped me. I guess because I think I mentioned that previous video when we were chatting. Maybe I was just like, I couldn't find in volume in the things, or just my mind just wandered somewhere else.
Yeah, no, totally. There's so much to read that because every once in a while I think about it, like previous to the show, in the past couple of years, I would see issues in bins and stuff, but I would always pass them over to buy other stuff, right? So it's and that's the thing. Like, I don't know how much I want to dive into another series and another character and get single issues. I think I'd rather look at like graphic novels and stuff just to check them out, just to read them. So maybe it's a library pickup if they have it.
It's lucky find sometimes now. Those epic editions would have been the most cheapest way to enter the Moon Knight verse. But I'm not really sure how far they went into. But I barely can find any of them. So it's kind of difficult now. There's lots of ways to make. Before we used to complain, oh, we can't get it the single issues. Now we bloody graphic novels is so popular. Now you can't get into those because if you don't buy on the release date, you start to already wonder if you will be to find it. It's just annoying.
Yeah, no, totally.
It's just like you don't have time to wait. Like you have to get into that as quick as possible, because even those speculators who speculates on comic books now, people are just doing that with collected editions, and then they price it up, or you can't find it
Yeah.
anymore, or they get out of print or something like that.
Yeah, totally. Before we get into the comics, just like talking stuff, I just wanted to, since Andrew Lopez is here, Andrew was kind enough to offer to send me Orphan and the Five Beasts, the first issue. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but it's kind of okay, because today when I went to this little comic convention, I found issue number 1 finally.
Wow.
From this guy who used to work at one of the comic shops. He had issue 1 and 2, so so I did find it. So, but I just wanted to give Andrew Lopez a shout out here for looking into that for me and checking out the shipping and stuff. It's just to send the one book. The shipping was just unbelievable, which is not it's a little bit of surprise. A little bit isn't. It's always, we were talking about it briefly because we were talking on Instagram. It seems to be when I ship to the United States, I can get a pretty good price, but everybody that I've dealt with shipping from the United States, it generally comes back as like it's a crazy amount. So I don't know why one way it's a decent and reasonable price, and then the other way it's just out of control. So I'm really looking forward to reading that, though. I think it cost me cover price. I think he charged me $4 for it. So which was great. Yeah, super, super nice. And also it was nice to see him, because I haven't seen him in two and a half years, I think. So I haven't seen him in a couple of years. So it was really good to kind of hang out and chat with him too for a little bit.
Well, just before we start talking comic books, did you watch the Slow Horses?
No, I haven't yet. I haven't watched it yet. No, I was talking to my dad about it when we went at Easter, because I asked him if he'd heard about it. He said he had. He was trying to get my mom to find some of the episodes for him too, because my mom torrents and all that kind of stuff too. So just want to see, if you like Smallwood, check out Vampironica from a few years ago. Oh, reimagines Veronica. Oh, okay. Comics is vampire. That's pretty great. Super cheesy, but excellent Smallwood art.
Yeah.
And then Brian Wood's run on Moon Knight has incredible Smallwood art as well. Okay, I didn't realize he did so much with them. That's insane, man.
Yeah.
Like series after series.
Yeah. Nice. And Mr. Sleepy.
You got it there, Damien. Yeah. Copy that.
Thanks for heads up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So do you want to start us off? Do you want to jump into something?
Ooh, where should I start?
Hello, Jackio.
First, to tell you all, very random comic. I haven't read that many, but also very random selection. So what I did this time I have went to my things like that and just picked up something which I felt like it. And I think I already read this issue, and I just wanted to read because the Thor movie's coming up, that we saw the trailer. Me and Mr. T is probably very excited because he wants to be rich and I want to watch the movie. So anyway, so I was reading Thor 250 spectacular issue, and I think this was given me or sent by Mr. Damien himself. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and this fantastic cover. So it's all about it's Mongok. So it's all about that. He is the main kind of villain in here, and then of course it's kind of nice to see that on the cover. Sometimes comic books you don't have that. Anyway, so it starts really well. So it's Levine and John Buscema and Tony DeZunica is embellisher. They say is Tony embellisher, which is kind of interesting word they chose to put that. So John Buscema is illustrator and Tony DeZunica is embellisher. So anyway, so really fantastic tale. So Mongok is being revived by Igor, whatever his name is, this guy here. Okay. I don't know really. So this is how Mongok looked when he was captured, or he was and he lost all his powers. So this guy, who is apparently his guardian as well, who has beef with all the good guys. Decided to basically has this cunning plan, and then he's going to take over, and he's going to be the vengeance part of the storyline basically. And he basically gives this Mongok bad guy powers back. And what he does with doing that, he's turns him into Odin. So he's going to pretend to be an Odin son and then take over, because apparently in the stories previously to that, Odin son has disappeared. And nobody knows where he is, where he went, what's happening to him. So he pretended to take over, and that's the opportunity they took to basically replace him by the Mongok. And then, so basically goes into Asgard and basically becomes the leader of the nation. And how he does it, he makes sure that Thor doesn't get involved whatsoever, and blames him for wanting to take over his dad's place or to dethrone him. And so he decides to basically shackle the Thor and they lace like a dog in the chains, like that. This is really fantastic page panel. And then
awesome.
and you can see his hammer is placed right in front of him where he cannot reach. So as an example. And another thing is, it's always surprising me because, like Valkyrie, as you can remember, like see all Valkyrie, the main character, she's always a blonde, but now in here, she's not a blonde. She is brunette, which is fantastic, always a blonde. Nothing against the blondes, but sometimes you might get confused because if you're not familiar with comic lore, hello,
love Thor. Glad you're talking about it.
Yeah, I thought you might like that one. So he's so it's nice to see that she's not a blondie. I don't know when the shift happens, because as I say, I'm starting to dabble in and dabble out of the universe of Thor, but it's always extremely entertaining when you just pick up an issue and you see all this, because they're trying to save Thor back, from shackles, and Mongok having such much powers, they turn him into a goat, a pig, and a horse, or the donkey, and those friends of his. And a poor Valkyrie, she was turned into an old lady here in this panel. So great powers. And I was like, oh my God, that guy has proper powers, and apparently it's all because the faith, religion.
Oh, really? Hey?
Yeah, because the Asgardians were believing in Odin so much that he gave them more and more power. But Mongok, of course, because wouldn't be a comic book in that era, but he's such he was so filled with the power of becoming Odin, and then he has this revenge in basically in his sights. He started to become overly cocky and start battling because Thor. He's like, I can't take this anymore. I see my friends being turned into something, and I will want. And then suddenly, the last strength of Thor comes into him, and he basically escapes from the shackles he's been placed into and starts fighting Mongok. So the fight ends up in, of course, win of Thor. And he was Mongok has been killed, of course, but because basically people stopped believing who he is, and that's why the power disappeared as well. So really good story, fantastic panels, John Pushima, Don Zunica, everything in itself is very entertaining. I like even reading was so kind of easy. I guess I was in such a mood. I guess since I watched that trailer, or since Thor in general is very exciting. In this, I never know what you're going to see, for example, movie-wise, but in generally as a character in the comic books, it's always an entertaining thing to just pick it up and just read it. Right. So I think, as I say, I've reread that issue a couple of times, but every single time I do, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So 250th issue anniversary special.
Was that Roy Thomas writing? I'm sorry if I missed that.
No, Len Wein.
Oh, Len Wein. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. So this is the comic book you gave it to me anyway, so you sent that through to me.
Yeah, I like to spread Magog issues around.
Yeah.
Or Mangog issues or whatever.
Yeah, so it's absolutely fantastic read. Like I said, if I feel like something, I always go for this kind of era. Or, of course, the newer era is fantastic written, but sometimes when you wish to read something light-hearted, and that's what you get from here. A very fast-paced, kind of not fast, but at the end of the day, really well-told story, rounded, and one issue, like from the beginning to the end, and you got reward, like for that kind of stuff. So very good, and I was very happy after that. It's like, whoo, very entertained. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you for my own stack of things. So great, that kind of thing. Why I'm trying to kind of feel like I should do more. This kind of things really shows me that whatever I collected, I apparently is what I want to read as well, not only own. So
do you have a lot of Thor issues like from no? Okay.
I wish. I mean, since like I think Damien was showing some of the stuff, earlier stuff as well from Thor era. I don't have many. I would like Jack Kirby stuff is quite pricey now, especially if anything, with like something you like the characters everybody likes, and
it's full of the first appearances and such, I guess.
Exactly. Also, that doesn't help either. So I've been on the lookout for the epics. Of course, not happening. Already kind of crossed that. Maybe if I go and look for it, but online wise, it's kind of you have to be very picky to what you want to pick to read. And in epics editions, they are kind of weird. They pick volumes in a different era, and they jump and cross and some.
I see.
It's not very coherent sometimes.
Right.
I don't think they are. And then one of the beginning Jack Kirby issues in epic editions is already out of print, and they're pricey. I saw one for £100. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, totally.
I won't go that line, but that's online. Because I don't unfortunately explore the comic book shop universe. I would love to do.
I think they're probably out of print, but if you were looking at omnibuses, you would want like volume 2, because I think they didn't really Kirby didn't really get into the groove of Thor immediately, but once he dived deeper into the mythological and cosmic side, it got really interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
I read that John Buscema era is really good too.
I read the Unlimited when I had that time. I did read some of the Jack Kirby's Thor, but you know what? It's just still in my memory. When I read the paper, because I guess I do an action, my brain recollects the story so much easier when I read what in digital.
Yeah, digital's like water flowing through my brain. I enjoy it while I'm reading it, but it's not there later. Often not.
It's for example, if we do chat, and if I do read digital like a week early in the week before we do chat, it's like, did I read? And you're like, what the like I'm not having memory problems. I think I don't, but it seems to be that's how it escapes with digital stuff. So still paper is my favorite thing to do.
Right.
Even though I get excited with the availability of so much stories when you do digital, but
everything is at your fingertips. Cool. That looks great. Damien, welcome. Nice to see you.
I'm glad I made it.
Yeah, you made it.
Yes.
Do you have something for us? You want to jump into something?
Well, shall I jump into my very best thing?
Sure.
Yeah,
it might be the best thing I've found this year.
That's right.
The Mobius 40 Days in the Desert Bee. Could you click my overhead camera? I might as well show it that way.
Sure.
Let him try with his phone.
Stand by. Here we go. That's it. Yeah, there you go.
This is the Italian version. I don't think there was ever an English language version. Obviously, there were several French editions. I don't know what other languages it appeared in, but it doesn't matter what edition you find.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no words in it whatsoever. And do either of you already have this?
No, God, no.
I wish.
Hi, Jack. So I didn't know much about this, but I just saw it, and it was $15, and then with my discount, it was even less.
Oh, dude!
Shit, man.
And so I just grabbed it without even looking inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this cover does not let you know how incredible it is inside. This is a very basic cover, but I found out that this was published in 1999, and while Mobius was working on other projects every night, just to relax, he would do one of these drawings. And there's 70 drawings. And it may be a reference to Jesus going out into the desert and being tempted and fasting for 40 days. And so it looks like we have this spiritual guy. That looks like an angel, actually. But it looks like our main character, so to speak, is this guy who's out meditating in the desert. This is nothing yet.
So sorry, one of these a day. Is that what you said?
He drew one of these a day just to relax after doing his actual work. And he did not use pencils or anything. This is all direct ink to page.
Nice.
Wow.
So this is by 1999, he was, the ultimate god of drawing this kind of art. Right? He was so experienced.
Second nature to him, yeah.
So here we see that he's out in the desert. It has a bit of that, familiar look to some of his old heavy metal characters.
Sure.
Or to me, heavy metal characters, Azark and the Colonel, what's his name? So I think we're seeing, it's all improvised, right? There's no plan here, but I think we're seeing different things that this character is seeing around him in the desert. And some online things suggest that he's hallucinating. With the connection to Jesus and the devil, it might be he's being tempted by things. I'm not sure. Yeah. So there he's sitting and meditating. There we see this guy that we saw in the other picture. I should probably make a proper video out of it. I still need to look through it a few more times to digest, because you see in this picture, there's so much to take in.
Yeah.
And when did Jeff Darrow start doing the Shaolin?
That's a good question.
Well, because this feels connected to that. And I don't know who did it first, or maybe they were both working on these kinds of things together.
Because he was part of his, basically they worked in the same place for a while. So they
shared a studio. Yeah.
Yes, because he was apprenticing with him. So, well, not apprenticing, but I don't know if it was apprentice or something. He just had a chance to work with Mobius for sure. So maybe this is the time when he actually spotted him just doing the scribbles, like you were saying, like dailies.
Right. Because visually, crazy images out in the desert, very much like the first volume of Shaolin Monk.
Shaolin Cowboy.
Shaolin Cowboy, sorry. Shaolin Cowboy.
So it looks like the first one came out the Burly Man Entertainment was 2004, but then he had a little bit before that, the stuff in the Dark Horse Presents.
Right.
But so the very first one was 2004.
And if this stuff was it was printed in 99, maybe it was done in 98.
Yeah.
So who knows what they may have been passing drawings back and forth or something. But just this kind of image makes me think a lot of that Shaolin Cowboy work. But then you also get flashes of the wild sci-fi visions, which I think he's just seeing out in the desert. But it's up to interpretation.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, look at that shit.
So as you probably realize, I absolutely love this, and I just kind of get lost in the pictures.
Yeah.
And it's like an art gallery in a book, right? It's just every picture is a masterpiece in one way or another.
And it's so nice, the layout, like one per page. I like that instead of on every page.
And I don't know if you'd call it comic book adjacent, or you could consider it a comic book, because there is some kind of
narrative there,
free flowing sense of somewhat of a continuity, because you keep coming back to the guy who's meditating and the sense that all of this is happening around him on the desert. I can't remember if
that's the picture.
Oh yeah, he is in this picture way over here, the meditating guy. And there's just something, I don't know, there's something about Mobius. He captures something that's just so perfect for me anyway, and I obviously for a lot of other people too. So I think that's this character here. We then see in a close-up.
And they say to him, "Do not stick it. Do not stick in it." Well, me? It's just not me. Sorry, I just had to say that. It just looked guilty. Look at its face.
Yeah.
Yes. I just saw a tweet from Chaos and Comics showing a guy with from a Jodorowsky comic where he was shooting things out of his penis.
Yeah.
Just made me think of that when you talk.
Wow, look at that.
So
Neat, man.
yeah, here we have appearance of other characters. So it could be that all these things, it could be that, you know, time is passing and all these things are just coming to him, or they might
Right.
be hallucinations.
Look at that. That's not even an arrow.
So yeah, I don't know if maybe the, you know, it's hard to find this for sale anywhere. I looked on Amazon Marketplace and someone was trying to sell one of the French editions for $400. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that might have just been pie in the sky. The person was hoping for a sucker.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, I just feel so lucky to have this pop in front of me.
Yeah.
For a very affordable price.
Yeah, that's why sometimes you just got to grab it, whatever it is.
Yeah, if you see something like this, you just
snatch it up. Yeah.
Especially what the
This is
price
an amazing
is.
image.
It's no brainer, man. Especially
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't reach $20 mark. I would just. I mean, and even $20 mark, I would take it anyway. So.
This is the perfect example of something. Why is this just not in print in the U.S.? You could probably just put it in Barnes and Noble, and people picking it up and seeing it would just buy it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if it's, you know, just for $15 or $20.
The same scene now.
Now we're back to this scene, but it looks like something's happened. I have to examine it more closely. But the level of detail that he is just doing, if it's true that he just did this off the top of his head with a pen and no pencil, you know, preparation or anything. There's the guy meditating is over here now, right there. So there is a continuity to it, but it's up to you, I guess, to interpret it.
But the imagination part of his brain is like, what the hell did you read? For have that in your brain all the time just to scribble, you know.
Look at this detail here, like all the heads there.
And then
it's
the
just
heads
amazing.
Like a river. Oh my God.
You would think this would have taken him several days to draw instead of just being what he did after work.
Right.
But knowing French, that I mean, at the end of the day, the comic culture is so vast. So I guess you get like exposed to it so often, and so because it's regarded in it's in the highest regard when you are comic book artist in France anyway. So I guess when you are growing up, I think you're just exposed to that kind of thing. There's lots of people probably reading, and then I guess the imagination will go wild if you just get exposed to everything, you know, around you. So that would be like helpful as well to be.
Well, I think the successful comic book artist must not only have artistic talent, but kind of a bit of graphomania. You have to draw so much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and that's one of the things that Jodorowsky says in that Dune documentary, that the speed at which he drew as well too was unsurpassable.
Right.
Like as he would tell him the story, he's doing designs and doing storyboards, and he's whipping this stuff out almost as fast as he could talk. Obviously, Jodorowsky's exaggerating a little bit, but that kind of idea. So, and I think once you're steeped into that world and you're constantly around these creative people, some of these ideas probably become just kind of second nature, where it's like, so I'm just going to put a line of heads over here because why not? You know, it just fits in. It becomes kind of your language, right? So
it might be extra visual ideas that he can put into something that is just improvised that he couldn't put into a scripted story by Jodorowsky or someone. It just goes on and on. It feels like way more than 70 pages of a regular comic book. I mean, it just So anyway, that's I'll start skipping some pages.
Oh yeah, look at that, man.
I'll try
the androgynous nature of some of his characters too is really neat, because I mean that's a beautiful drawing. Like that's unbelievable.
There was that comic by him where the characters start out androgynous and then develops a sexual type halfway through the story. What was that called? But
I forgot the name of
that. Yeah, this is an incredible one. There are times it starts to make me think of Hieronymus Bosch too, who's, you know, one of the craziest guys of the Renaissance.
Man, oh man, unbelievable. Just what Jackio was saying in the chat, I don't know if that's necessarily it. I think it might be the case of wanting to have proper presentations of the work, right? It's not necessarily that They don't think that there's a market. It's probably more to do with how is it going to be presented to people.
Well,
I think
people have told me, and I don't know where they got their information, that his wife hates the U.S.
Oh,
and that's why we don't see the Don Lawrence artwork, because he also hates the U.S.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, hey man, Canada, they can publish it in Canada.
Go through Canada.
Exactly, go through Canada.
Everyone loves Canada.
It's right,
no
exactly
one has
right.
a problem with Canada.
Yeah, everybody's like, Canada is the best friend of everybody.
Maybe you can become Mobius's English language publisher.
Dude, don't even. That would be amazing.
You will be like, oh look, you want
publish it all.
Yeah. Oh my God! Look at that.
But I mean, this you don't have to hire a translator. You don't have to do anything but just publish it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. It's so good.
So everything else that I've gotten in the last month or two is so far below this. But not that I think once this, we'll just end the episode and we'll all see y'all next week. I think.
Yeah.
At this point,
I think we established this is the peak of this show today. So thanks, Damien, for that.
There's something about both him and Kirby that makes me feel like I can draw, even though I can't do this. It makes me want to do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If I look at Neil Adams or Bernie Wrightson, I feel like, oh, I definitely can't do that, and I wouldn't try so hard. But looking at this, I just want to go sit down and draw, even if it won't come out like what he's doing. This is near the end. I guess I'm spoiling the end.
Yeah, whatever. We're never going to get a hand on this book.
In a puff of
anyway,
smoke.
so you can show the last page for us because we never get. Oh, look at that!
And then this thing reappears, which was in the first image. I don't know what it was.
Flying from.
This is like a kite almost. It almost looks like he's flying a kite, but I think that's the same thing there.
Yeah.
So we didn't spend a lot of time on the last few drawings.
Amazing.
Oh, cool. And there's a skull behind it. That's great. That's fantastic.
I think what I might do is a video where at the beginning I show some of my favorite pages, and then I just show the entire book for the rest of the video.
Yeah, in the high res.
People who want to watch longer.
Yeah.
And do my best to get a good resolution and everything.
It's definitely would be something what I would watch for sure. Like we had, I don't know if people have watched, but Mr. Crack shared one of the nice videos. Then Loading Cannon had shared really nice VHS video. I actually thoroughly watched from the beginning till the end, and I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be in the background. And like you always say, like, okay, you just like I will see it, but I just couldn't stay away. It's like, what is going on here? I paused, I did something, and I came back to it to make sure I was like attentive to watch everything. So
that tape he showed was amazing, right? Like I felt the same way watching it. It's like, where the hell has this been? And I did a search online. I couldn't find jack shit.
You looked as well.
Yeah.
Because that Miss So, not Miss So, but what is that?
Mystery.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Mystery was there, those creators, and the way they were talking, and that's how you imagine, because the way he was writing to the people response letters, you actually kind of imagine the guy, and it's like, really, that guy.
Yeah.
I didn't think that, because sometimes like imagining the person when you don't see the voice, like the face with the voice, but that one is just from the page to the human. You're like, oh, okay, there you go, exactly who you are now.
Those guys were almost excruciatingly too nerdy and geeky. You know what I mean? Like him with his sunglasses on and the way they were talking, it was like, oh man. But it was great, and seeing Tim Truman's studio and stuff, that was such a fantastic section. Even with him playing a bit of his blues guitar, but just seeing his space and seeing his creative, it was so great, really, really great. Yeah.
And then you were showing that the cartoon movie part.
Yeah.
I was like, while I was watching the Alan Moore stuff you were showing, I was like, oh yeah, I actually can drive there and actually see the changes, what he's talking about.
Oh yeah.
What was the movie after the Alan Moore part?
It's not the movie, but it was the cartoon part.
Right, there was an animated thing afterwards. I didn't know what it was.
That was Rene Laloux, the guy that did Fantastic Planet, and it was a short that he did with the artist Kaza, who at that time especially had a very Mobius kind of look to his stuff.
And then the full-length movie you showed, that was based on Kaza too, right?
Correct. Yeah, that was Kaza and Rene Lelou as well too. Yeah, just a full length. Yeah.
I love the look of those. That's incredible.
Yeah, really, really nice. Yeah.
Funny, silly stories, but
yeah, totally. Yeah.
The art is so awesome.
It rounded up the video really nicely, so that I was like really happy too. I mean, in general, he was happy because everybody's now mentioning Alan Moore because he's doing some BBC shows, isn't it? Which I haven't
is that
watched.
true?
Well, I think he does.
Oh,
something.
he did a master class of sorts. I think about writing. Yeah.
This thing you have to pay £100 to.
Wow, it doesn't
or something like that. Something in that number to be allowed to see.
Shit on writers.
Or talk about be part of the Jungian cosmic experience.
Right. Part of the inner circle. The kayfabe guys reposted that section of the what's his name, Liefeld, Rob Liefeld interview where he's talking about dealing with Alan Moore and talking to him and stuff, and how he would just like, I just felt sometimes talking to him that he was just fucking with us, like the things he would say. I was just in the magic room and I was communicating with the Pope and Jimi Hendrix. He's like, he's just fucking with us Americans. I thought that was really hilarious. It's a really
him
good
and Liefeld must be polar opposites. I
totally opposite. Yeah. It's really worth watching. It's very, very funny.
Oh. Yeah, it was, and then he was talking and showing the scenes of where he's from, Northampton, and all that stuff. And it's like,
that was good. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes I don't realize where I live. It's like, well, yeah, we can drive there. It's like, if I want to, but at the end of
you could go to pubs in Northampton to see if you can stalk Alan Moore.
Well, I wouldn't. I'm not that creepy.
I know you wouldn't want to, but you could.
Especially
how far of a drive is it for you?
I think an hour and a half.
Oh yeah. That's not bad.
Yeah, but by our North American standards, that's nothing.
That's nothing.
Yeah, like when I start talking about, oh my god, I have to drive like 1 hour to London, and everyone's like, well, dude, like you live like 5 minutes from here, apparently. Across the pond, your destinations are quite far away. So no, it's just sometimes, as I said, you don't realize where you live. So you kind of like you could. I actually always wanted to, because Northampton has comic book shops there as well, of course, some of them, and also I've never I think I crossed by that, but never went into. So
right.
The thing is with England, everything looks the same to me. Even like
yeah.
Whereas is it like around my corner or something? Because everything looks almost the same. It's like sometimes the streets look the same, and all those like picture perfect cobblestone houses or cottages.
Right. Yeah, of course.
In my head, they all look like Diagon Alley in Harry Potter.
Well, not everywhere like that. Unfortunately, more Scotland. I mean, Diagon Alley. You can go in Scotland and probably find a couple of corners you turn, and you're like, oh, where I am. But if you're new to England and you travel and you get lost, that's fucking freaky, because you go into square and you think like, oh, I've never been here before, and you like look in your sat nav, it's like, oh shit, I just been here 5 minutes ago. What the fuck happened? Because it just looks very similar to everything. Not bad in any sense whatsoever, but it's very confusing when you're new to the place, for example. So yeah. Anyway, so
there's a bit of a newer one as well from that same kind of thing where he's going out and talking and stuff. I think I have that on the computer. Maybe I'll set that up for one night this week or something. I think it took place 2000-ish, maybe. I don't remember now, but it might be worth checking out. I've just found that really interesting, listening to him talk. I think it might have been AFPC saying in the chat, or maybe off to the side, him and me in comments or something, but just listening to him talk, it's interesting just to hear him talk about anything. You know what I mean? He's especially at that time period, it's definitely not the happiest outlook on things, but it's still really, he's very engaging. He's a very engaging personality, so
that's why he's a writer. Just says a couple of things and describes his place where he lived and the houses behind him that's not there anymore, and then he just tells this little story and you're like, more, please tell me more. And you're like, why I'm so interested in that stuff, which very good rewards for sure.
Yeah, no, totally.
Very good.
Okay, I'll see if I can do this here. Okay, so one of the things I jumped into this week was Taboo. So I'm I'm missing a couple of issues, but I'm gonna read what I have because they're books I've always just flipped through and read the occasional short story. I've
That
never
looks like
sat
it
and
was
read them.
just unwrapped from the shipping when it originally arrived.
It's
25 years
ridiculous.
ago.
Yeah, it's in ridiculously good shape. Like, it's unbelievable stuff. So, and all of them are pretty decent like this. So, although the 2 issues that I'm missing, there's no way in hell I'm gonna find them, I don't think. Because I think that's the Alan Moore From Hell starts in it, in one of the issues, I think. So I know that one's going to be an arm and a leg. So this was really great. One of the things, I think it was in one of the documentaries that I showed, Bissett was talking about horror magazines, and just, and actually talking about Taboo. And I think also Loading the Cannon, Colin was talking about it too at one point. Maybe him and I were speaking about it. So I figured, let's just get into this one. This one has a lot of great artists. So, and S. Clay Wilson, short story here. Not as kind of graphically dirty as some of his other stuff, but definitely his recognizable style, from his Checkered Demon type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Really great. There was a couple of standouts, so I won't show every single one. This Alan Moore and John Toddlebin, Come On Down, was pretty fucking grim. It was a bit disturbing. This channel, this reality show where people are in the audience and they're going to have their names called, and when you come down, you've basically won the lottery. But you choose how you're going to get killed, basically. And everybody is really driven to it. And she finds this show appears on her TV one day, and it's not there next week. Nobody knows about the show. She's trying to look into it. It just appears apparently for those who need to see it, and it just magically appears on your TV. So she becomes infatuated with going down to the show to try to get her name called. And it just gets kind of like more and more disturbing. It was one of those things that, you read a lot of horror stories and stuff, and they're all kind of interesting, and they try to do like a jump ending. This was legitimately kind of deep down disturbing by the time you get to the end, especially when you see the way some people are kind of being offed in it. There was one panel, I'm not finding it, but anyway, so her just going back every single week, just trying and desperately hoping that her name gets called. Really mad. There's a Charles Vess one that's pretty good. Let me skip to, there was definitely a couple of standouts. So Charles Burns, Contagious. I don't know if this is a precursor to Black Hole, but it had kind of similar themes going on, teenage sexuality and disease and stuff that they're passing around to each other through these kind of parties here. And you can see there getting a rash on himself.
I bet it was a precursor, a first jab at the idea or something.
Yeah, it must have been, yeah. But his usual beautiful style. And again, like,
looks great.
Every time I see his stuff now, I think about these wavy panel borders. I really like that effect. Really fantastic. The other two standouts, rather. This one sort of ties in with something else that I read. Let me look for names here. So this one is called, no title. Well, anyway, it's a story. It's a guy that did, he's from Montreal, Quebec. Bernie Madoff. No, not Madoff. Bernie something or other. Anyway. And he does a comic called Mackenzie, or he did a comic called Mackenzie Queen. I really liked this style. It had, again, that kind of classic indie art to it. This guy just getting into the country and renting an apartment building and kind of having to deal with kind of the ghosts of the past that were in this apartment. He doesn't last the night. I wouldn't say it's necessarily scary or tense or anything, but just a really nice story. So I had one of the Mackenzie Queen issues in the bins. So I pulled it out, and it's a Bissett cover, actually, on this. I think this is the final issue of this 5-issue series. I did read it, and I can't tell you the first thing about it at this point, but it has kind of like a Matt Howarth kind of feel to it. the guy did like Savage Henry and Mars and the Annoying Post Brothers and stuff.
That's a cool splash page.
Yeah, it's nice. And then there's some neat character design. Again, very kind of 90s, you know.
Yeah.
Very of the time. So I'm keeping my eyes out for more of this, but no luck so far. So yeah, this was chock full of good stuff. Even some Chester Brown at the end.
Ooh.
Here, just some short stories.
Is that issue number 1?
This is issue number 1, correct? Yeah.
That may be the only one I never owned. I owned a lot of them, but I don't think I ever had that. All of those sound unfamiliar to me. And
then in this one is Keith Giffen. And I just automatically, when I see his art and I see this stuff, it has that kind of Sinner vibe, that comic Sinner. Right. But it also really reminds me of Ambush Bug a lot, because I loved Ambush Bug. And some of the characters, the style in here, his style is very, very unique, very different. These extreme close-ups where it almost becomes abstract as to what you're looking at. You know, you get the general gist of everything, but he's a heck of an artist. But I can't help but think Ambush Bug when I see some of this stuff, especially the mix of his art with kind of these childlike drawings here as well too. So really great. So it was a really good read. I'm looking forward to getting into more of it. There's the Bissett story there with the guy getting his mouth sewn shut.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I just immediately love Bissett's layouts. Whatever the subject matter is, he's just got something special there.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's very true. Yeah, so that was that one. It was a lot of fun. So I'll keep digging into those as I go. Just enjoyable stuff. And it's really nice the way they have, they just do a little write-up at the beginning of every single story, just talking about the creators themselves and just kind of giving some shout outs to other stuff they've worked on and some of their history. This was another one too that was pretty good, this Throat Sprockets. There was a guy, Tim Lucas, and he had this video watchdog that turned into a magazine, and it was kind of focusing on kind of exploitation and indie kind of movies and things. So he does his version. It's sort of his take on a vampire story, but it's a guy who's going to the porno theaters, and he really gets focused on women's necks. There's some guy that made a movie where it's a lot of focus on women's necks. So he kind of has this hyper kink just about that. And it's kind of goes further there, because then of course he starts drawing blood out of his wife's neck and stuff. So it turns into kind of a vampire story, but it starts as almost this very fetishistic fixation that he has. It's really well told. It's a really good story. Yeah, so that was that one. Taboo.
AFPC pointed out I think the Alan Moore story reminded him of the Lottery by Shirley Jackson.
Okay.
And I can see that. Oh, you can do. I didn't know if you could do the comments on your phone.
I can, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
It's not as easy as it is on the. It's not as easy as it is on the computer, but I do kind of figure it out. Looking at some later Giffen recently, Punks is worth reading. Okay, I'll check that out as well.
I'm not sure what Punks is. I wonder if that's Vertigo or something.
Yeah.
He's usually at DC.
I heard, sounds very familiar to something before it came out, maybe, but I'm not sure. Can't tell as well.
Yeah, Giffen started imitating Kirby, and then he had another style, and then he was imitating that Argentinian artist and now his modern style seems to be a cross between the two artists that he was imitating a lot.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I find it very satisfying. He's like when he did the OMAC in New 52, and then he did I forgot what it was called, like the Despicable Five or whatever they're called.
Okay.
Unfortunately that got killed by COVID, but and it wasn't a very good read, but it was great art.
So that recently, hey, yeah, that's not too long ago. Yeah.
So he has an interesting. I don't know what happened to him since that.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I love that style, though. I really like it. It kind of always reminds me a bit of Ted McKeever's kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a Ted McKeever element too. Yep. Yeah.
I guess this Punks maybe is Valiant. Oh yeah, there we go.
Oh, maybe he's moved over to Valiant. Maybe as DC has let him drop, as they do with all old creators.
Right. Rasa, what do you got next?
Well, I guess I get influenced by you guys and showing all these videos. So I looked it up and I went for Alan
Oh,
Moore, Stephen Bissett, and John Tolman one issue
Nice.
randomly.
excellent.
So you guys are inspiring me, you know, like all the stuff mentioning all the time. So I went through the boxes and I was like, oh, I feel like Swamp Thing, because I've seen a lot of Swamp Thing stuff happening on Twitter as well. I guess that's why it's there. But it's just a random issue, of course. I picked it up and then see how I felt about this one. And this is a trippy one. So of course is the Crisis crossover special apparently. So I have not read Crisis, but everything basically what happened with Crisis, as far as I got a gist of it from this comic in particularly, that all multiverse of DC universes crashing or disappearing into something, and chaos ensues everywhere. Of course, like that's what you have, and then you see just like this panel where you have Constantine, and the reason why I was going this route as well, I just recently watched the Constantine new cartoon movie, House of Mystery.
Oh
So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and I after that I wanted just some Constantine and Swamp Thing somehow in two together meshed up, and then I found this at half. So yeah, so Alan Moore written, Steve Bissett and John Tolhuben artist, and Karen Berger as editor, and John Costanza as a letterer and stuff like that. So yes, really revelations. And then so basically it seems to be Constantine's guiding Swamp Thing to a solution, like he always does, and he's like foul-mouthed creature of him who he is, and Swamp Thing is just also basically trying to understand what's happening around him. And you have all those trippy panels, which is absolutely fantastic, and especially it works so well in green. So the screen picking up green really nicely in here. And like you, I think it's like you guys were speaking about recoloring this one thing comic books. Like, no, why? It's just it's so enjoyable to look at. Find it online, right? What do you mean, like this
comic, that issue? Yeah.
No, I had it in my collection already, so I was lucky enough to have that. It's funny enough, in this comic book as well, is mentioning the first time Parliament trees, which is the one thing wasn't aware of. So I was like, oh, I know that. So I'm a bit better at reading comics, so I'm finding out some clues. So I was like, oh, I know what's Parliament. This one thing, didn't know about that. So anyway, issue 48 apparently appears in Parliament of Trees. So as I say, chaos ensues, and they go into this comet place where they get taken, both of them, and there is this party going on, and lots of crazy characters. Of course, all the universe of DC is down there. You can see Hawkeye and the Star, the guy just recently written by Tom King. What is his name?
Adam Strange.
Adam Strange. There you go. He's here as well. And then you have this guy called Luther, because I wasn't sure if it's Luther, but apparently it's not that. And you also have a back of the Batman and Superman. So it's just like this is a very entertaining so far. And of course, everybody's just there, and in this thing, and one thing is getting crazy. It's like, I don't understand why you're taking me here. And it's just, being Constantine who he is, it's just like, I need to get to that destination. You just follow me, kind of thing, So Swamp Thing just slugging along and getting to see. And what the basically premise was is the Constantine wants to use one thing, because not only that everything happening crazy, but also in a universe where your soul and all that stuff, and then underneath these things like living beings are getting to be destroyed. So that's why he's using one thing to tap into that as well, or to prove him that actually things going to disappear, not only on where the Earth is, but everything else as well. So it's kind of that, using the Swamp Thing to that. So very fantastic art. Like you can see, this panel is fantastic, where Swamp Thing is been bombarded with a lot of information, and even himself is going absolutely crazy and mad. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this issue once again. So even like really random stuff, I like the culty stuff, like kind of stuff with Constantine, and also Swamp Thing dabbled into that kind of thing. And then those great panels where the Constantine is just sinister looking, or trying to kind of explain him about this race who is the basically a culprit to why multiverse is crashing down in DC. But I'm not sure if it's true or is it just the way Constantine is basically trying just one thing to understand the main principles. But this sect, let's say this way, they have so much power. They basically, by their decision, everything can crash down to nothing. So so it's really entertaining. And of course, like Alan Moore and all this creators, and it's just really good. Absolutely fantastic.
Right. And look how good the coloring is. Why did they
so
want to recolor
good.
that?
Exactly.
Why
right.
would anyone look at that and say this needs to be recolored?
Yeah. Where's Chaos in Comics? Get him in here.
Yeah. So it's and there's this part with because London part of course, and there's this crazy nun going into where she's going, this famous street. Oh my god, why I'm forgetting this, with anyway, there's the one street where all the bars and the clubs and clubs is I forget the name. Carnaby Street? No, not Carnaby. Anyway, doesn't matter. So anyway, so this lady is walking down in the nighttime. Nun, what are you doing at nighttime? Goes to the tube, sits down at the tube, freaks the shit out of herself because the tube stops for no reason, and she's freaking out, and she's coming out of that train thinking that this is her stop, and she's realizing she's in a tube station which gets closed on the weekend, and she's like hearing something behind her, and she's like, oh my god, something, so, like in the pitch black tube station. It's actually quite freaky. I've been once. They lost power, not something you want to be down in the underground when there's no power, because like, oh, I'm gonna escape. So kind of felt this way. But how it ended, the creepy guy was chasing her. He's chasing her, but his head is in backwards. It's backwards, and she's freaked the shit out of it. And then says, next, the Parliament of Trees. So here you go. Dude. If you guys want to know about more Swamp Thing stuff, Parliament of Trees.
Key issue.
Yeah, key issue. Not this one. Issue 47. And funny enough, what really frustrates me and why I never got into issue 50 has a first appearance of Justice League Dark, or first iteration of Justice League Dark, and that comic book goes absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Seeing that in the single issue though really makes me want to pick up that whole thing in single issues. That's amazing to see, like the ads and the letters pages and everything. Like
you can't. I mean, as I say, I've seen.
No, you totally can't. Yeah.
I have picked up collected editions of something, and seeing whatever they have done to those is nothing. I mean, as I say, coloring is not comparing, but it's honestly, and there's this panels here with the babies, how they use the cult. The sect was using the babies, so 6 months old baby, and he was just telling the story about this cult, and he's like, are you sure you want to hear this? The Constantine to Swamp Thing, and Swamp Thing's like, come on, just bloody tell me, because the whole issue is basically he's trying to understand what's going on with Constantine,
right? And
he's telling the story about this. They take 6 months old baby and then snap their joints away from their arms and legs. And then he stops, and it's like so funny. It's good writing. It's like, oh my god, you're gonna describe how the baby dies, and Alamo. Yes, thank you. I didn't want to hear that. Please don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good.
Well, and again, that idea of like taking horror in a different direction, like it's. I mean, I could read that series once a year, and I don't think I could ever get bored with it. It's it's top notch the entire way through, every single time. Yeah.
So all the issues you kind of like available to get on, like, especially, I don't know, Mine World is online. So let's say Online World, you can kind of get it. But issue number 21 of first Alan Moore, Out of Reach, number 50. Number 51 is Out of Reach. And of course, first appearance of Constantine, don't forget, which is issue 37, I think.
Right.
Which I have the tatty one, but I still own it, which I'm happy about. And I didn't pay the leg for, but that issue 50 and 51 is just drives me absolutely bonkers, just because, So,
I've been collecting the Vertigo Essentials, the black and white reprints, and those are beautiful.
Those are gorgeous. Yeah,
I can find them cheap, all random issues in different places.
Yeah, no, it's well worth getting. I finally got all of them for the Swamp Thing ones. I've seen some Sandman ones as well too, and
I didn't know about
it's
that.
great.
It Yeah. Wow. Okay. Now I'm typing. I'm going. You
So
talk.
the
Damien.
Sandman ones are in black and white also.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Would be something I would like to know.
It'd be fun if some of the Kelly Jones issues were in black and white. I
Mhm,
don't know how
mhm.
far they go, but
Yeah, I think like with the Swamp Thing, I don't think they go too far. They don't do like the entire. I think they just hit some nice benchmarks
Right,
and that sort of
right.
thing, right? So, but yeah, well worth grabbing. Damien, what do you got next?
So on way lower level, this is the hardback of volume 2 of Legion of Superheroes Before the Darkness.
Okay.
Click my overhead thing again.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
Mhm.
If you can.
I can. Yeah. Give me 1 sec. There we go.
There we go.
Did that work?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have
okay,
our
that works.
picture in it, but that we can go either
Okay.
way. So there's a dust jacket to this that I don't have nearby. So this is underneath the dust jacket. This
And why would you need it when you have a
Blown up
beautiful
panel.
cover like that? I
Yeah.
love the hardcover.
Mhm.
So they market this as Before the Darkness because I guess the Great Darkness saga is so much more popular than anything else.
Yeah.
And this is before Paul Levitz was even writing it.
I see.
It's the issues are written by either Gary Conway or Roy Thomas. They kind of go back and forth.
Mhm.
But there's an intro by Paul Levitz, and the main thing he talks about is these were written just before they started a royalty system. And
Oh.
he's sort of implying once the royalty system hit, then writers cared about what book they were on and the progress it was making. So back then they would just swap books all the time. Hey, yeah, sure. You try this issue, I'll try that. And then we'll trade again because it didn't matter in terms of what they were paid.
Mm.
So I think he's kind of implying that the royalty system and him coming on the book at the beginning of the royalty system may have been seen a big increase in quality. So I don't know if that's really what he's implying, but these are definitely, these aren't issues that are in your collection, are they, Arasa? With the Chainsman and Ultra Boy's death and that stuff.
Mhm.
Are they in yours, Rasa? Because you.
Sorry, I lost you. Can you repeat the first thing? I took out my headphones for a second.
Oh, sorry, Rasa. When you were reading that volume that started with a bunch of issues before the Great Darkness,
Yeah.
It wasn't the same. It wasn't these issues, was it? Even though this volume is called Before the Darkness. Oops.
No, there was something different as well.
You don't recognize any of these?
No,
covers,
no castle stuff for sure. Definitely. I
Okay.
don't have it with me, my tablet, because I was reading digitally.
Yeah.
I don't have it with me. I'll tell you specifically. But yeah, I'm trying to get into this Legion of Superheroes, and then because I was recommended that Darkness thing, they had like 4 or 5 issues before even the great thing happened. You know, like so.
Right.
So I was reading them, and I was like, stop reading because my mind just wandered. So, but no, I don't think I recognize.
I think a couple of times I've picked up digitally the Great Darkness saga, and it starts with stuff that seems to have nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
and I lost interest.
Because they try to introduce you to the characters, and I said to you guys before, like, it's 42 characters to introduce. I mean, come on, man, you've got it take a while. So I think that's why it gets intimidating after a while, because you kind of get lost in in the universe itself. So, but I'm still interested. I'm very curious.
Sorry. Yes, Afpc Ditko, in fact, is 2 or 3 issues in this volume.
Wow.
There's Ditko right there. Inked by Frank Charmante, who I think kind of tries to give him a slightly less Ditko look.
Mm-hmm.
But
Wow,
I thought the Ditko issues were very good. This is Ditko during the period where he seems less engaged. But
yes.
he's a very good storyteller, and for this very basic superhero stories that are in the Legion of this era, I thought he does a very good job. It's nothing fancy or anything like that. And it's, you know, the best Ditko, the figures have all these interesting fluid movements to them and stuff, and that's mostly missing. But so the main thrust of this is, well, first they're trying to solve them. I read a bunch of these issues with my daughter in the past 2 or 3 weeks, and she gets a kick out of it. both because of she recognizes the silly melodrama of it all and all the cheesy sci-fi things now particularly appeal to her, and they appeal to me. But so they have to go, they're trying to solve a murder that Brainiac's been accused of. This is now, I believe, Jimmy Janes doing the artwork. They switch off between him and Ditko. Or is this still? No, this is Jimmy Janes. They're inked very similarly. But eventually it turns out that this version of the original Brainiac is the real killer, and he calls himself Pulsar Stargrave. And my daughter loves that name. But but the upshot of all of this is, while they're solving this mystery, is that Ultra Boy dies, or they think he's dead. But he just has he's floating out in space and he has no memory, and he gets kidnapped by, this is Ditko again, I think. He gets kidnapped by, or not kidnapped, picked up by pirates who discover he has superpowers, and he becomes the lover of the woman captain, the captain pirate, who convinces him to use his superpowers to help them be even more successful space pirates. And then the Legion goes up against the pirates, and they never know that, they still think is it Ultra Boy? Yeah, Ultra Boy is dead. So this is just all the melodrama. They think he's dead. But he eventually turns against the pirates and fights against them, and then does die. And they never know that he was alive and then died.
Oh my God. So
it's it's just a lot of cheesy kind of, I actually haven't read this issue yet. A lot of just cheesy melodrama, soap opera, but of a emotional sort. So, and then the big storyline here is about a guy called the Chainsman, and he puts chains around the earth, the man who chained the earth, and then starts squeezing the earth with his chains. And they have to stop him in time. He wants revenge against them because he thinks they killed his girlfriend named Charma, who could charm all men into falling in love with her. There's the big bad Chainsman. So anyway, it's all really, I joked with Jack Yo that I was going to do a mediocre comic next so he could go mow his lawn. But I wanted to talk about this just because Rasa had tried reading it. You have to be in the mood for just, I don't know, just very basic kind of superhero cheesiness. But it somehow it hits a satisfying spot for me.
Yeah, no, totally.
No, it looks so much better for me when you're flipping through the pages. It looks very nice, and honestly, I mean, okay, digital is very good and great, but as it seems to be like so much more entertaining, and it's quite a lot to read because look at those speech bubbles. I mean, it's quite a read. I also found it kind of entertaining. I want to know exactly what's happening more, but at the end, my brain was trying to compute correctly to what I understand who he is, what they're doing, like why they're there, kind of thing.
It can take an hour to read one issue, at least while I'm reading out loud. But we usually read like half an issue and then read some more later. They're very dense. So and it's not like all the dialogue's important or something. It's very slowly building up its little dramas.
Have you managed to pick up volume 1 of this kind of
No, I haven't. It doesn't really matter, I suppose, but I might. If the one thing I like about this trade is it's not newsprint, but it's not slick. It's not smooth, slick paper. It's got a tooth to it, and it's got a bit of that newsprint feel, which seems perfect with these. There is a bit of a gutter loss effect here. It's not too important, but it does irritate me that they couldn't have. The people doing the production could literally have moved this over a centimeter that way, and it would be better. But anyway, I don't think it was a very expensive hardback, at least for the online price I paid. And you do, like you said, there's like 40 characters. I think in most stories there's about 12 individual characters that show up in these stories, and I love how they'll have a roll call at the beginning of each issue.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll call people by their real name. They have ridiculous names like Tinya Wazo, Shadow Girl. And so they say, hey, Tinya, do this. And sometimes they say, hey, Shadow Girl, do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know who all the people are.
Yeah.
And that's part of kind of, it takes a while to get into it.
Mhm.
My daughter loves making fun of this costume of Cosmic Boy.
That is a strange one.
I was like a stripper wearer, you know?
Yeah.
It looks like stripper clothing.
It's
And he has
very-
magnetic
corset.
power. So then we started wondering, maybe he's just holding these clothes on with his magnetic power. Then I can imagine something happens, takes his power away, and
yeah.
It's like, why would you just like, you know, like somebody's like, yeah, just leave it halfway through. Don't worry about it. Yeah, nobody will notice. Yeah.
so
And then-
this is totally for when you want to turn your brain off in a way.
Yeah, but it's great. It's fun.
And
I
be
mean-
willing to read the kind of density of
Mhm.
things.
We
It's
definitely
fun
do.
just looking at all the different costumes, and although they used to not be allowed to be married to each other, almost everyone here is a couple.
Okay.
So Tinya Wazo, that's why I know her. She used to be with Ultra Boy, so she's grieving Ultra Boy's death.
Of course.
And then they all think this character might be Ultra Boy in disguise, but it turns out not to be. So anyway, it's just a big soap opera. It's fun to read, but
Mhm.
it is a commitment of time for stuff that is not very important.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's just part of the history. I know, like this guy looks like Wolverine, and then
Right, his name's Timberwolf. I think I don't know who came first, but I sort of suspect they threw him in to be like Wolverine.
I think I was watching or listening to, anyway, watching a video on YouTube. There's two guys who were talking about Legion, and then saying that how much actual the X-Men they were basically.
Right.
Claremont was actually reading as a big fan of the series,
Mm.
so he was reading before he actually went to write an X-Men run. So
Right.
if you say, what?
You're right, but even more so, Dave Cockrum, the original artist on the X-Men, was the most popular Legion artist.
Yeah.
And a lot of the a lot of the characters like Nightcrawler and stuff came from ideas he had proposed for the Legion originally.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of the origin of the newer version of the X-Men has to do with Cockrum. He should get more credit for a lot of that stuff.
So who was the writer? Because there's a teenage guy who actually joined DC, and then
he wrote earlier on Jim Shooter.
Jim Shooter, there you go. So they were talking about a lot of the Jim Shooter stuff what he's came up with, and then like lots of great stuff that is. I don't know. I don't remember unfortunately the channel I was watching for that about the Legions, but they were going through the whole history, and I was like, oh my god, that's actually very entertaining, because when they start dabbling into the history of how they came up to the series or who was writing and what they did, and it's just like it's more interesting, and I want to read more of that, because it's just that kind of thing what intrigues me most of the time.
I think Jim Shooter came in when he was 13 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
And he realized the Legion could be more like Marvel Comics, and he brought in the soap opera and the high drama with characters dying and things like that. And
then when he turned 14, he started getting paid properly, and then he went
crazy.
He took over completely the Legion.
He was helping to support his family because I guess his father had employment problems.
Yeah.
And he just sent them. I don't even understand how it could have worked out. He just sent them his own scripts with drawings.
Yeah.
And they decided to run with it and have this 13-year-old take over. And I think he worked at DC for maybe age 13 to 17 or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then he tried to get out of comics and eventually came back to comics at Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, what you are? Ooh.
Sorry, I don't know what I've done.
It's good to play around with these things.
Sorry, I'm trying.
I know it's very hard to do on a phone. Oh, special guest star in the background.
Yes. Oh, what?
You can go back to showing your special guest star.
Sorry, I was trying to do so all of us were in it, but I don't know what the hell is going on here. Okay, there we go.
Hi, Lillian.
Hello, special guest.
Yeah, special.
How are you?
I just wanted to show you the characters I found.
Sorry, D. Keep going.
No, I'm pretty much done.
Oh, okay.
Now it's your turn.
So we can have a Lillian
Show the
spotlight showcase.
I found these characters.
Oh, there you
Wow,
go.
look at that.
Oh, it looks like it's is that Brave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Character is for sure.
And Spider-Man. Wow, that's cool. Where'd you find those?
I found them in a bin. There's other princesses and other
More.
Spider-Mans.
Oh my gosh, more Spider-Man.
Who would win in a fight?
Brave would win.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Excellent answer.
She's wicked with arrows.
Yeah, that's true. How's it going up there? Cleaning out?
Good.
Oh, jeez. Oh my gosh.
She's not getting lighter with time.
No, she's not getting lighter or tinier. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Bigger.
Soon she can carry
fiercer.
you.
Yes, hopefully.
Well, now when she fights, she's punching much harder too, and she's got really good aim at my kidneys too. So it's really like, okay.
Okay, so we need to give you body armor for your next.
That's right,
birthday.
like that guy in the comic. It'll just be metal.
There you go.
To me.
Sexy metal outfit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anything else to tell us while you're here? No.
No.
Okay. Just spacing out.
Yeah.
Have you read any
I
of
don't
your
even know
dad's
where
comics
the
lately?
camera is. There's the camera. Sorry, Damien. Go ahead again.
No, nothing. I was just.
Have you read anything exciting? I think he was asking. Have you read any? What's the latest kind of graphic novels and stuff you're reading?
Not really anything.
No, nothing really that's jumped out at you. No.
No.
You've been doing lots of reading, but.
Yeah, no really graphic novel.
Right. Yeah.
All chapter
Well, that's
books.
okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, chapter
Yeah,
books.
the
Yeah.
littles are the best.
Oh, yeah, the littles. You're into the littles.
Littles,
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
It's
there's
pretty.
a couple of different series about tiny people. I get them all confused. The borrowers,
Right.
the littles.
That's right.
I
The
think there's
borrowers.
someone
That's the one I
else,
was
too.
thinking of. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, Peanut.
Okay, bye.
Nice to see you. Can you get out of there? Can you make it? Cramped down here in the little corner.
Yes, it is. You should really move the chair.
No way, man.
Yes.
Okay. See you later.
Bye.
Okay.
She's great. She's awesome.
Yeah, it's true. Yes.
AFPC says they assumed Shooter was 17 or 18 when they spoke to him on the phone.
Oh, really? But he was only 14.
Yeah, 13 going to 14 apparently.
Jeez Louise.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently the editor would kind of abuse him psychologically and tell him he wasn't that good and stuff like that.
It's always
Yeah.
good to do with child labor, yeah.
But then he had like he spent such a long time in DC, and then went into Marvel after because he didn't
Right.
want any more deal with the situation there. So I guess then goes there. So it's fascinating when you start, as I say, when you start to hear those kind of things and how actually it evolves by you just reading some little story, or you try to discover new elements of that, and you start research and type in some things on YouTube, and then it was like a podcast type of conversation. They were showing like pictures of that stuff, and they were talking about it. It's so fascinating to hear. And this is the part of the comic books I absolutely fascinated by, because it's so much history, not only the stories they've written, but actually histories of the creators themselves and how they get into to doing this stuff like that. So
yeah, and shaping the business right at that young of an age. Yeah,
and he's well known, and so for what he's been achieving. So from that forward, imagine.
He must be a bit of a genius.
Has to. I mean,
but unfortunately, history has not been kind to him.
Right. Hey. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Your turn.
Let's see if I can do this here. There we go.
The picture is incredibly good. It's amazing how good that phone makes everything look.
Yeah, it's insane. It's really, and then I'm not fighting with the computer. Like, I'd rather honestly fight with this than fight with the computer,
That's good.
So I'm not going to talk about it because I read a whole bunch, but I'm determined to go through all of volume 2 of my Doctor Strange. I'm 12 issues in. I had an idea that, hey, maybe I should try to do it before the movie comes out. I don't think that that's going to happen. Every week is a different kind of reading that I have. You know, it really depends on what's going on. But based on reading some of that, I also started digging into some of my underground comics again, because there's so much that goes on in those Doctor Strange, especially in those ones where he's like overcoming his fear of death, and there's all these kind of almost psychedelic things happening to him as he's kind of taking these inner journeys. So I've read a bunch of undergrounds, and not all of them kind of in that vein, but one that I wanted to talk about, I haven't revisited Freak Brothers or Fat Freddy's Cat or anything for a long time, and these are ones that I've had since I was a teenager. These kind of digest size ones are classic. There's a regular comic and there's the size of it, right? So
and
I don't
were
know.
they taken out of the original Freak Brothers comics, because they used to have a little strip at the bottom?
Correct. Exactly right. And that's exactly what it is. So there's a few books of these. And I was surprised at how just entertaining this is. It's a really good strip. So it starts out with kind of a longer story called Animal Camp. They did this Fat Freddy's Cat in a regular comic book size as well too. So and this Animal Camp gets reprinted there. So the freaks go away, and they give the cat over to a sort of like a pet babysitter to some degree. And of course, they automatically think that these hippies are never coming back. So we're going to do whatever we want to this cat. They present it to kind of the warden as a gift. They dress up Fat Freddy's cat because the cat starts dancing around and stuff. So, but it's super fun. And then getting into the thing that I found even more entertaining, though, were these kind of short one-page strips. I forget how much of a kind of good kind of comedic writer Shelton is, and it's Dave Sheridan here as well too. And it's really, really funny. I'll just show you. There was one that really got me. I posted it on the social media, but I thought this was just just a silly little premise for a little gag of help me put the cat out, gets water thrown on him. How did the cat catch on fire? Stuff like that was just, I thought, really, really great. So I'm looking forward to digging into some more of these, and it's really solid art as well too. Really nice stuff. So a nice surprise to revisit the stuff. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it would be kind of like a throwaway bit of a read, but I'm actually looking forward to getting into some more. There's some Dennis the Menace there. Bunch of hippies stole the cat. So it's sort of a continuing story between all these little strips that I'm assuming at one point also were published in some of the underground papers and things too. So, and this is what is
Freak Brothers in the long run the biggest selling underground comics?
Easily, right? It's got to easily be, yeah.
With so I think he's one of the few people who became quite economically comfortable off of this stuff.
Exactly right. Yeah. So 1977 on these volumes, and then Fat Freddy's Cat on the back. So yeah, there's other undergrounds. Maybe we'll look at a couple of the other ones, but that's kind of the rest of my reading was some of the dope comics. Solo.
I just bought this today just because I saw it at the store and I thought, well, it's probably going to go. I haven't read it. I don't know what's in here at all.
Yeah.
But it's a Fantagraphics book, so it's going to be a nice hardback.
The last few issues of Freak Brothers was the storyline, The Idiots Abroad.
Oh, okay.
I think it was
so
a
that's
3-parter.
I was wondering what it was reprinting. So there's a color part, and then the back is a black and white part.
Oh, that's great.
So it looks like it might be Fat Freddy's Cat at the back. Fat Freddy's Cat.
Is it just me, or did we all lose your audio, Damien?
No, it's just
you. Lost my audio? Do you hear me now?
You can hear. I can hear. Terrence?
Terrence. Stand by.
Maybe it's Terrence's.
Hey, there we go. Yeah, no, I've got you now. I hear you again now.
So it's the War of the Cockroaches at the back. I mean, I'm just looking at this for the first time. Yeah, I'm just in the habit of like grabbing hardbacks before they go out of print. So I just grabbed it again. And I haven't bought
You got to turn off that speaker there upstairs.
I know, but how do you disconnect your phone?
I'm going to try. Sorry, everybody. Give me a minute. I'll come back to you. I'm going to exit, and then I'm going to come back in.
Okay.
So I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Okay, I'll talk to you like this, Ross. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you really well.
I have no idea if this is even any good, but I just assume it is because Fantagraphics is publishing it.
That looks really good. Tradition again.
I think I read a bunch of the earlier Furry Freak Brothers in the original comic book size black and white things. I don't think I've read this Around the World stuff.
Yeah, that was right at the end.
The nice thing about Underground Comics is they just kept reprinting them.
Yeah.
So in 1980, I was buying all these comics that had just multiple editions that were still in the head shops that were still around.
And I mean, I think with Freak Brothers especially, there were some issues. They had 15, 16, 17, 18 different printings, right?
Yeah.
They just kept doing it because they would sell every single time. The Idiots Abroad being the last, I think it was the final 3 issues.
And was it originally in color, or is this colorized after the fact?
No, it was in color as well. I don't have the best memory of those stories, but I mean, I think I only read those once.
Maybe just because they're in color is why they gave them this fancy treatment.
It's so beautiful. I
might prefer the black and white stuff. But I think because they were so successful, some people kind of look down on them as being not true, being more commercial, and maybe they are more commercial. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's funny looking back because I was in high school in the 70s.
Yeah,
when saying you're out of it was a good thing.
Right.
The more you didn't know what was going on, the cooler you were.
Yeah.
And these guys epitomize that. The more you just are stoned to the gills and can barely walk, somehow was a positive.
Well, and just the accidental situations they get in. It's one of the things I noticed reading these undergrounds this week is some of them, as much as some of them really push boundaries, some of them are really kind of, they seem almost outdated at this point, with kind of like the drug humor and all these kind of things, which maybe would have been a little bit, I don't even know if it was ever extremely challenging or anything. That's not necessarily the best word, but it really has lost a lot of that over the years for sure.
Yeah. So it's just funny to think how that has changed.
Yeah.
And that particular thing is for the better.
Yeah.
I don't think it was good to be stoned during algebra class.
Yeah.
Perhaps you're tempted to be.
Yeah.
But we used to think it was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic, I guess.
All right, Rasa, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to the same theme now. So after getting to discover this one thing stuff and mentioning purposely that Justice League Dark is, well, I only have the new stuff. So I always been having this. I have this in my collection, the run of this. So Peter Milligan and Michael Janin at the moment for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure how far, but I've never finished. So I'm basically starting to read it because I want more of this, because it has Deadman, it has Zatanna, it has Madame Xanadu, it has Shade the Changing Man, and of course we have a Constantine once again. So I managed to read the first story arc, and the story arc calls this, I think it's called The Fool, or maybe not. Oh no, it's called In the Dark. So it's the part 1. So it's first 5 issues. So I needed to fill off that kind of, like, I started wanting to have more of that magic element, and I guess the Constantine King kick was still alive for me, so I wanted just to read more, and I thoroughly kind of enjoyed this. They say it's actually, the further you go into the series, the better it goes, like story-wise. But in here it's basically, so Enchantress reads not Enchantress, Madame Xanadu reads a cards, and then she foresees the future of total destruction. Once again, I guess the theme of my reading, kind of in that sense, destruction, apocalypse, and all that stuff. And then, she reads the cards of his future, and then she decides that kind of take the place of. And apparently, there's this lady who basically gets. This main character of this story, particularly, she gets possessed by Enchantress, and it seems to be from there the chaos ensues. Lots of great paneling, lots of great changing man decisions. This is how his lover dies, and because of the annoying changing man. And this scene particularly, I know you guys, maybe everybody's using that, maybe it was movies, but maybe in comic books. But I think this scene in particular has been used everywhere. It seems to be like deja vu most of the time for me. I've seen in Dark Horse some of the things creators have been using, like what is this latest series by, I think it's Jeff Lemire, isn't it? Everybody was reading. I mean, it still continues.
Black Hammer.
Yes, yeah. So there's this house, like where the lady was living, and they went into the house. It seems to be very similar to that kind of point.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
I just mentioned that. So basically, things happening with the magic, and Justice League gets involved in the first issue, and apparently Justice League, Ming, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Cyber can't deal with that, so they need somebody else to help. So they decide that, Madame Xanadu decides that she needs to basically have another team. So that's how basically they they'll go Magic and Element, who knows them. So Zatanna, Constantine, Deadman, and stuff like that. So and then we're seeing Zatanna as well. So really involved story once again. And then it seems to be that the more crazier things happening. So I really like that kind of stuff of magic part of DC universe, like I've been telling you guys beforehand. So it's basically what my goal is. Hopefully, if my brain will continue compute with me, I'll continue with the series and finish it all, because this 5 first issues was really involved. And also, so Deadman, he's so sly in here, and he's so like gross in his from female's point of view. So his girlfriend sits down here, and he's approaching this new body he's took over, this guy. And he's like, says, yeah, look, he's handsome enough. I thought you will not mind in him. And basically his implication was saying, because he's so desperate to have sex with this his girlfriend, which is the Hawk Dove. She's the Dove.
Yeah.
I forgot her name. Anyway, so he wants to have sex with her so badly that he basically gets any guy, good-looking guy, and basically in the bar tells him, like, I think you will like him better than anything else. And she's like, you trying just to, you so desperately want me to sleep with you that you think that I'm gonna just, because you're gonna pick up the body, we're just gonna do it. And she gets so frustrated from him, and he's like, why don't you understand? Kind of thing. And it's like, come on, that's not right. So the way Milligan was portraying him in here was like, and then you'll find out that this guy who he took over, he's actually married. And Giffen has a little bit of decency, and he's like, no, I found the ring, but I took it away from his finger. So anyway, in that element was fantastic, the way he was trying to kind of get that character into the story. And of course, I think the main character, which is well established here, was Constantine. Even though Xanadu was the instigator of things would happen, but the Constantine was basically a catalyst and also a solution to the problem. And the way he gets introduced, of course, he's in the bar drinking, gets punched to the things, and then he actually gets stabbed. So he has to deal with that kind of situation. He's like, oh, of course. And then he talks to himself. He's like, in order for me to just be sane, I need kind of this kind of solutions where I bleed and I start to fix myself to just basically feel a little bit normal in his head. So anyway, so the Dove splits with Deadman, of course. Because she's like, I can't take this anymore. I mean, I'm not going to be in this relationship. And the girl who's been possessed by Enchantress, she comes into a picture, and of course, Deadman being Deadman is like, okay, I'm desperate, so I'm going to talk to her now. And it's funny the way he was doing it, like just like it looks so grim and naughty, like like bad things happening around, but he just kind of gives you a relief a little bit of the darkness and gives you this kind of moment with Deadman, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
So far this was great, and the end issue was a resolve. Of course, they found solution to their problem, and of course this is how the Justice League Dark will continue being, because there's not only one problem in your universe. And the changing man, how he's been used in here, which is, and he's of course his jacket. It's like a random conversation, and I forgot about that. And he's like, because there's speech bubbles and different color. I was like thinking, who is he talking to? And then you realize, oh shit, it's a jacket he's talking to. So in that sense, it was great. So yeah, and you have them all in Dead Man's. It's really nice. It's fantastic. Honestly,
I guess I had no idea that Shade the Changing Man was part of that team, because I mean that team was always appealing already. But that makes it even more appealing. And look at these pages, holy.
Yeah, so this is Michael Jannon's artwork I wanted to share. So they get back into that creepy house where the apparently Enchantress was living, and they use the changing man's abilities to cross over to that part. So Satana had to just think of where she needs to be, and he basically makes them appear. And suddenly you have, I don't know if you can see, but you see this cloud of things, and there's teeth coming after them. And those teeth actually basically gives you visions. So Changing Man starts seeing his girlfriend who's basically been murdered in front of him, and he feels really guilty. And in order for him to snap out of it, Zatanna has to kiss him. It's like, look. And then the way he describes him is the funny things. You want to know what's real is? It's that you taste on your lips. The only memory of your tongue, my tongue pushing between your teeth, that's what's real. As he gets, so it's so funny how he's describing that. So interesting elements, how like it looks funny, maybe a bit tacky in some parts, but it just really works. I mean, the way I'm describing, I'm not fully describing the story, but the panels are fantastic and the art is great. And another thing adds, look at that. Glenn Marsh was doing Catwoman.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't, like.
That was very controversial at the time because they made it very clear that Catwoman and Batman were having sex.
Right.
Oh, so there you go, people. If you want to really see it.
If you want to sexy Catwoman and Batwoman, you got to get those. I'm sure they're available for $1 a piece.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so a lots of great panels and a lots of things happens. As I say, I'm rounding it off the storyline, but really rewarding.
Jannon is a kind of a superstar now, but I don't think he was well known when this one came out.
Yeah, it's just because it's the New 52 era where I basically started getting into the comic books as well because of the, like that's how I don't know.
That's when we were all coming in on YouTube and everyone was talking about New 52.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then this is the team. They're still there. But then Constantine, like he always is, fuck you people. I don't want to know you. I don't want to be for you. I'm fucking off. And everyone's like, wait. Where are you going? And he's like, no, people. And then you have a vision. Of course, this is how we're going to tell a vision of her. And she sees another card. And it says next story will be called Hell. So far, not bad.
So is it a complete story in 2 issues?
In 5. This is 5.
5. Oh, that's issue 5.
Yeah, I didn't want to start scrolling through all the issues. It's kind of will take a while. But 5 issues, the first storyline in the dark. And then now from issue 6 is the Hell storyline, which I'm going to read next. Right. Because I was just like, I don't know why, because I know this one was collected. In isn't it? Is it just recently was released as well, I think?
Well, I don't know. There was also a James Tynion run later. So the New 52, I think, started with Milligan, and then he left, and I think Lemire took over.
He did.
I think I read the Lemire issues, and those were good. And I may have read part of the Milligan run. And then in Rebirth, James Tynion took it over. But still, I think, maybe not with the same artist, but I think Mikel Janin did the entire New 52 run.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And then Tynion and then Ram V during Rebirth, wrote it. So it's had a long string of good writers on it. It's much better than the Justice League of modern times.
Right.
The cover artist is Sook. I don't know what his name is.
Oh yeah, Ryan Sook, very good artist.
Yeah, so he's done all the covers so far. What I've read. So I've been having that in my collection. It's like, why are you not going there? You like magic.
Yeah.
But like my brain scatters, so hopefully I'll tame it down to finish this all, and I will say, "Yay, achieved it!" Because
Yeah.
I got it because of Milligan. That's the first draw
Right.
for me, because I enjoy Milligan's crazy, wacky stuff, and it's rewarding because those little scenes with the Boston Brand and how he's so tacky with females, and like that kind of like the frustration he needs to get rid of, and then you have that Zatanna stuff. And honestly, I wanted actually to ask, what's the best Zatanna way to get into her as a character? Because honestly, I don't know. I always want to. I know she's that, the costume, your typical magical costume she wears, and everybody goes absolutely crazy. But I don't know what to read to actually get to know her better.
I actually don't either.
No, me neither. I've
always known her as a
issue.
character that shows up during a story, but not having her own story.
Yeah.
So that Constantine cartoon animation I was talking about, which just recently just got released, I was watching, and she's there as his wife. And I know that they have love interest between two of them. I knew that part already, but then they had kids in that cartoon movie, which was...
Wow. I've never heard that before.
Well, but it's not because of... it's House of Mystery. Don't forget, the Constantine called the House of Mystery. So if you have any clue about House of Mystery, why he was there, it's really good, actually. It was really quick, fast animated movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly because you went to your like... And the way it ended, it was like, me and my husband looked at each other like, what happened? But it was intriguing enough to watch. Right. So I guess that's why I got that itch, because my husband is proper Constantine fan, and we rewatched Keanu Reeves Constantine as well because we want a kick. So yeah, it was just a bit of a binge of that.
So Tacky 616 is saying Paul Dini's Zatanna, and it's 12 issues. Sorry, the Adam Hughes covers are expensive though.
Of course.
Well, maybe you can get it at the library or something. If they
it's got to have been collected.
Yeah, definitely. I want, because it's a female character. I hope they did justice to the character, just because she's a female, hopefully a magician, not so too much tackiness in there. But you never know. But yeah, I would.
Paul Dini, that's very promising. I mean, he's usually a very good writer.
Yeah, I know.
Paul Dini's great.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't even know. I'm glad to hear about that. I might look for that. I didn't know about that.
Oh, because of this, one of the magical characters. It's like she's always in the background. You always see her. When magic comes into this universe, she's there, and you have like animated stuff. I watched some of it, like a TV series. She's there with her dad's problems and stuff like that. And and you have that guy with the helmet. I forgot his name.
Dr. Fate.
Dr. Fate. He's there in that universe kind of thing. So he goes. So that's really good part of the universe. Would be nice to discover as well. More.
Totally.
I think there's some of the arcs of Justice League Dark focus on Zatanna.
Yeah.
And I seem to remember one that where their base of operations was in the House of Mystery.
Oh yeah.
I think that was during the Tinian run, perhaps.
Right.
I wanted to basically find that catalyst, which makes me excited once again, so I can go through, that kind of thing, like just to read more and discover more. Because I don't know why I've never finished it. I have it. It's like like when you have it, you can
you can
I'll
read it anytime.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll read it eventually. Yeah.
Exactly. So
there's a lot of good stuff hidden in the New 52 that people forget about, but because it kind of ended poorly, the whole New 52 project, they act as if everything in New 52 wasn't good, but quite a lot of good stuff.
They also mentioned in this run characters like Shade, the Frankenstein, the Agents of Shade.
That was another very good run. Yeah,
that's one that I never got it. Like I actually couldn't find it that time I was looking. I remembered now, but I wonder why I was like looking for that but I never got it.
It was adjacent to the Swamp Thing stuff, wasn't it, Damien? Didn't they eventually did he appear? Because I remember that whole green and red thing.
He might have appeared in the
final few issues or something.
In the big crossover thing.
Yeah.
Because Jeff Lemire, I think, again, Jeff Lemire and Matt Kint were the writers on the Agent of Shade. And then when they did Rot World or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
They brought in Frankenstein a bit here and there. But those are really fun issues. I don't remember how long the Frankenstein lasted. I remember being really bummed when it was canceled.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to read something like more of that kind of stuff. So kind of like that's the thing, like can be done, but never is. Now I'm trying to get to that point.
Yeah.
On one foot.
Yeah, no, that's good though. That's great.
Exactly.
Damien, what do you got next?
Has anyone ever heard of Statics? Or
Can't say I have.
I think this is self-published. I don't even know. I can't even remember where I picked this up, what comic book store. He's got the same guy has a whole series called Fuff.
Fuff.
Oh, yeah. That I have heard of, because I feel like I've seen those issues on Domino Books page, that Fuff.
And I think he's trying to be... So on the bottom here, it says Statics, written and drawn by Jeffrey Lewis. First printed February 2022, 4,000 copies printed in Texas. So somehow he got into one of my comic book shops.
Huh.
I just don't even remember how I ended up picking this up. But I think he wants to be like those 90s alternative comic book artists, as we used to call them back then.
Right.
So this is just a whole bunch of different stuff. And at the back, first of all, he has this, the second story is this one-page story about God. And I really like the artwork there.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's not too in focus here.
No, it's great. You can see it. Really.
He's sitting on a square version of Earth.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the, I don't know if it's an angel or something, says, "Stop reading that comic book and come watch movies with us." And God says, "Movies, oi, such a stupid name for a medium, just because the images move." And the angel says, "So why do you call those comic books? They're not books. They're not funny. It's shocking they even still make those things." And then God is thinking that she's right about comic books being a bad name, and let there be statics. So the opposite of movies. They don't move. They're made of static images. So that's the origin of his name of his comic. And then at the back, he has a little autobio thing, which it's a very familiar looking kind of image. I don't know if Howard Cruz used to do things like this or some other people. Why would I be stressed out? Me, of all people. And he just kind of reviews everything that gets him, all his ambitions in life. All I want to do is make a one-person anthology comic series as great as 8-Ball. And I just want to make songs as good as Daniel Johnson. I'm not sure who Daniel Johnson is. I feel like
Daniel Johnson. He was fantastic. Yeah, he did a lot of home recording.
So he wants to be like Daniel Johnson and 8-Ball, and he wants to draw as good as Robert Crumb. So anyway, it's very amusing to just have him list all his high ambitions and wonder why he's stressed out. And he has a very unflattering image of himself, which is, with this one lock of hair and then baldness there. I really like his art style. There's another story about superheroes who spend all their time texting. And you can see there's a huge amount of dialogue here. And I decided after a while that like each panel is really good, but the pages themselves are just like busyness.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of an alternative comic book thing, but I never thought about it before, but it makes it actually kind of hard to read in terms of the normal comic book art. There's kind of some kind of unity to a page. So I almost wished for panel by panel, like on the iPad or something. But anyway, I enjoyed it. And then there's this the longest piece in here is called Stories My Dad Tells. And I don't know if this is a continuing thing from Fuff. But it's basically this story of when his dad was a hippie and living down in Central America and goes on this sea voyage with some hippie girls and some sailors who used to be in prison or something. And they get caught in this part of the ocean where there's no breeze at all. And they can't get their engine to work. So because it's a sailboat and they had a little engine. Anyway, they finally get blown ashore by a hurricane or something. So I assume it's all actual stories his dad has told him. But it's kind of meandering and long.
Mhm.
So I guess what I'm saying is this is fun, but also hit and miss.
I see.
And I'm hoping there's still a market, for these kinds of things, which were all over the place, it feels like, in the 90s. So it's kind of cool. I think I'm going to try to find some more of these Fuff things. It looks like maybe there's a Fuff collection. He doesn't give there's the website, jeffreylewisite.com. So I might look for the collection of Fuff. Although I think things like this they're so dense, they're better in individual issues because it's too much to read. So anyway, that's interesting. I hope he's succeeding.
Yeah.
Although if he really wants to also have a successful band, he goes on and on about all the things he wants for his band. And he wants to write as well as Alan Moore. Lately I've really been craving more black and white art. And I think that helps me a lot. And it looks derivative in some way. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think he's very good at balancing the blacks and whites and stuff, at least in the individual panels, if not the whole page.
Yeah, no, that density that happens with that is pretty neat.
Yeah,
sure.
I guess it's appealing. Somehow it stopped being appealing to me.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah.
I still enjoy reading it, but I have to I have to narrow down on individual panels and not look at the whole page.
Yeah. They got to get everything in that they're saying.
But it is kind of a thing from Underground Comics, right? They had so much to say and so little space to say.
That's right. Yeah. And maybe only the one opportunity to say it.
Who knew if you'd ever get to do it again?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So sort of jumping off of that, I'll show you this one. This is Bakersfield County Comics.
Saw you share that on Twitter, right?
Yeah. Larry Wells and Larry Sutherland. So this is there was only one issue. There was a few kind of like trucking type of magazines.
What year does that come from?
1973 from Last Gasp.
So kind of the last gasp of Underground Comics in a way.
Yeah. It was a really great read, and some of the art
I like that art style.
Well, you just wait until you see.
Talk about black and white comics.
Some of these pages are amazing. Like this page really stood out to me. This had a real like all of that chrome on that truck. Like it really just reads like that. But I love the layouts. Like the stories themselves are whatever. They're fun enough, I guess. This is about just some truck driver.
This guy does think about the whole page.
Yeah. Yeah, and those two pages are beautiful layouts. So I mean, it's just some truck driver and goes through kind of like what he does in a day. But one of the bonuses in here is a story Chuck and Eddie in Bakersfield Blues, and this is a precursor to Cherry Pop-Tart by Larry Wells. So it's kind of like
style,
his faux Archie's kind of style there. And she appears in this, but her name is Shirley is her name instead. So that's basically the precursor to Cherry Pop-Tart. So it's great. It's really
so
funny.
Weird seeing these Archie characters with their boners.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just these guys that they're going partying, they're doing drugs, they're drinking. Like that's the entire premise of the book. And then at the end, like she wants to save her virginity because he's always trying to get her to do it, and she won't. And then of course at the end, when she wants to, he's all limp from too much drugs. So he missed out and he passed out. So just a really nice, quick little story there. And
that was the other good part of the 70s, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Too much drugs to have sex.
This had a lot of like Sheridan vibes to me in this next story. It's called Bakersfield. Yeah, Larry Sutherland's Bakersfield. It's just called Bakersfield, and it's kind of a history of Bakersfield. But I really like, again, the layouts here. It has that kind of Jackson, Dave Sheridan type of roughness to the pages. It also reminds me of something else that I had, and I'm blanking on the guy's name, but there's this real kind of, I don't know, dirty look to everything that's super appealing. As he's talking about like the questionable past of Bakersfield and kind of putting it into perspective here. The pages like this, some really nice detail. To be honest, I didn't read every single text box because there's a hell of a lot of them here. And that's something that I find happens with some of these, like some of this indie and alternative stuff. It's just so, it can be so wordy that you just look at a page and go, yeah, I'm going to read maybe half of that. And then a final Larry Wells story again, which was just okay. The art wasn't as good as in the first one, but this was a nice one for like a single issue kind of stories. A couple of short stories based around a theme. There was sort of this horror story that happened here in this last one. Somebody was drowned in a lake and then kind of cut to the future. And there's, you know, all of the tragedies that happen around this lake, this body of water. And the final one is this car falls into it there, drives off the bridge. So pretty great stuff. But those pages, I think, were the hits for me for sure. Because that just, even that whole spread looks just beautiful. Really, really great. So it's great to kind of not really discover these guys, but like just get reminded of what they were doing in some of these undergrounds, right? Like some of the stuff they were doing and some of the styles. I tend to think of very specific people when it comes to undergrounds, and you often forget there's so many other artists there. Even the front, you know, even that front cover looks beautiful too. Has kind of that Spain Rodriguez vibe.
Right.
Some of it there too. So
yeah.
And Rand Holmes, big time Rand Holmes, especially with the figure walking off in the background and stuff. So yeah, it's nice to get reminded of these other artists that were out there, as opposed to just the ones that always get cited, who are fantastic, but there's way more.
I see.
Yeah. Rasa, do you have anything else?
Well, this is my last.
Okay.
Well, I guess I left it for myself. I think it's the best.
Best for last, yeah.
Yeah, it's the. Ta-da.
Oh, hey, yeah.
So
looks beautiful.
Yeah, it actually is. Of course, one of the other series which I've been collecting for a while now. I don't still have the full run, unfortunately, but I have the beginning of the run for sure. But then I was looking around on online and see it's actually quite difficult to. I mean, it's pricey now to get.
Number one or all
number one. Even all of them now is quite pricey. I mean, because the time is going. I'm talking online. Okay, I'm not talking comic book shops, as I'm not aware of the prices in comic book shops. But online,
I feel like prices have gone down a bit. Last time I looked at Commandees, I was like, "Dang, I paid $10 for that. Now I could get it for $5."
Oh wow!
Well, so
not for number one, but for other issues.
Yeah,
for other issues, yeah.
Yeah. The further issues, yes. But in the guy I used to buy online quite often, things because his prices were not bad. He didn't have number one, but issue number two, he asked £10 for it, which is pretty priced, I think, for issue 2. In Commandee wise, because I usually buy Commandee, used to buy for like, let's say £2-3, maybe £4 at the max. An issue, so I think that's kind of increasing. I'm just saying, just what I'm noticing. Anyway, not
it must
because of
vary by region, because it's kind of
probably
reverse over here in Portland.
Yeah, probably, for sure. So if I need it, so I'm just gonna pay like a shipping and even. Yeah, I'll come and visit.
You can.
Exactly.
This is our guest bed right behind me. You can sleep in this room.
Oh, cool. I'm just kidding. Everybody, my people behind, I'm just gonna go for a visit just to get some Command issues, which would be actually quite epic, to be honest. Anyway, so I wanted to have more Kirby stuff, and then of course, when you open the page, the first one, really good. Okay, this is just him floating around in this universe, but then you have this double page spread, which is the famous one, I guess. Exactly. So beautiful. What a beauty. I was just like, oh, screen cover. Why I never have the computer screen cover or some shit like that? Like it's just really so beautiful to look at. Anyway, and the story is actually really good. Like I remembered before I read it this story many times now. The issue number 1 especially. But I read it again, and I once again find it really entertaining. And of course, the art it's such a draw in here. So much movement, so nothing still. Like even the areas where he's just exploring, he still moves. There's the wind. You seem to hear the wind shushing around and all that stuff. Like it's just really good. And of course, the story of where Mandy is going back to where he is, and then he sees these people, and he finds like he thinks that he's only one person left after what happens to Earth. And of course, he sees some people, he gets really joyous, and then starts to greet them, but instead they're just running away from him. And to his surprise, when he goes and to sees what's happening in this where he was staying with his granddad, he sees this character here, and to his shock face, he sees as a wolf talking to him like a human. So due to radiations, things reversed. Basically, human went into the animal state, and animals went into a human, like more progressive state like that. And then I like that he was tapping in like 2 parts or 3 parts in this one issue, which is actually great. You can take a break, like if you wanted to. I don't think any was doing that because it's just so entertaining. And then as you can see, all those panels just like look so like great when he's fighting. Like it's just, I don't know, if you're a fan of like Kirby, you definitely will be thinking. And I was happy that when I found this #1, I was always so happy to own it. It's like an achievement, like almost like X-Men #1, to be honest, for me in a way, because it's just like full on Jack Kirby, nothing else, like just this is his creation and stuff like that. And I really liked it, like the car sees like this wolf's car, and he's like how old school it is, like for him, because he's been taught in every way possible and how smart it is. And then he gets captured by this tiger his name is Caesar. And then he has this little comment of saying like, is he like that Caesar he's been taught about? And he's like, is it living to this age, like this name of his, what he knows Commandy of. So yeah, it's great. And then he gets captured, and he's get placed in a dog kennel kind of thing, like capturing truck. And he's like, well, I've been treated like an animal. And he gets like absolutely shocked, and it gets taken away. And then of course chapter 3 is all about him being in the royal city of kennels. And then where he discovers there's more humans there, or human like creatures, but not in the sense of the they don't understand anything. And also the nuclear bombs, like how Command decides in order to basically save himself, he wanted to basically nuke everybody with him, and he's going in with the gun in the middle here, which I'm blocking. And then this professor dog, he stops him behind, and then he gets to introduce another character. Really good.
Dr.
Fantastic. Yes, exactly. And then you get introduced to this guy who is in the astronaut uniform, and then he's able to talk like Mandy can, like a human. He says, "I'm not alone. There's a hope in life in here," and stuff like that. And then this guy has the ability of nuclear power or something. He taps into it, and the suit actually contains his power. So he's like, be careful, don't play around with it. And the professor says to him, that's like, don't worry. It's like a very charmfully way saying like, no, I can deal with that. I know what I'm doing, kind of thing. And then the last panel was great, where Commandy is so short. Commandy though, I forgot how short he is actually in comparison to everybody else. It's like really tiny. The guy left, and then he's like, oh, he's in tears, saying like, finally I have something. So really good. Right. Celebrating of things, like to just look at in his storyline is fantastic. So
yeah, it looks great.
Fantastic. Honestly, one of the things I always like, I know where it is. I make sure I know where it is. Like this kind of things. Like I just, like I think it is one of the things. I think once the things I got quite early when I started collecting the comic books. So I think it's always going to be in that kind of memory for me. This issue in particular, because it's like, oh, such achievement. Like, oh, finally, like by the cool kids who is doing YouTube videos and have all the command issues and I don't have any, and they talk about this Jack Kirby and blah blah blah. And I want something like that as well to own. So yeah, this is great. So it's just good memories as well, and also great story and great art, of course. So very cherished copy of mine.
Yeah, no,
a lot of
that's
memories
really
with
great.
it. Yeah. So.
It's in good shape too.
Well, yeah, yes, but it's okay for me.
Yeah,
It looks good.
Yeah, it looks
It's not.
good from where I
It
was
has
seeing.
that. It has that cut. Like where it's been like some of the DC comic books. One.
Oh, it's been trimmed wrong.
Yeah, trimmed wrong. Yes, it's one of those copies. So
I'll have to look at my copy. I wonder if mine's might have been they were all trimmed wrong.
Right.
yeah, but they're on the 20 cents. Apparently, this is the issues they were having. Many of the people having OCDs and collecting, that should be quite disturbing. It's like, oh, I need to replace this and get a new one. So I saw some of the issues of the Commandy #1. And the 270, yeah, I've graded, of course, great. So 200 pounds, then 30 pounds, 100 pounds. It's just where it's for your condition. So it's not cheapest. Oh, did I just disappear?
No, you're still here.
Okay.
Sometimes with books like Commandy #1 and stuff, I start worrying, what if every copy of it gets slabbed?
Yeah.
I mean, luckily I already have my copy. It's like things I might want, and there will be no way to find a copy that isn't slabbed.
Right. That isn't premium prices. Yeah.
The one.
Well, I mean, I feel like
I
feel like I've been seeing them in the bins lately too. So, is there something coming? Is there a reprint? Is there a collection coming? Damien, do you have any idea?
There was an omnibus a few years ago.
Was there? Okay.
Oh. Okay.
I thought that interest in it had waned because I seemed to see copies going really cheaply lately. Not that it was super expensive back 10 years ago when we were all talking about it, but I had a little trouble filling in when I tried to get them cheaply. I had a little trouble with that back then.
The one issue I remember was the Menace of me to get is that I forgot the number of it, but Superman cape is hanging.
Yes, people used to really value that issue, but I don't think anymore. Like I saw there's one new YouTuber who's collecting it, Naman, a comic book bookworm, and I saw he got that issue just kind of randomly. But
that's the only joke that's getting televised this week.
That was the best of Scott's
a good
today.
One. Yeah.
Talking about Batman now, everybody's raving about the new Batman movie.
Yes.
So my husband tried to watch the Batman movie, and then we were okay. I need to set the picture. We were both naked. We were like doing a lot of stuff, and then decides, okay, we just watch Batman. 1 hour in, what do we switch off?
Wow, 1 hour in, holy!
Because it's 3 hours.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and then but I'm saying maybe we're tired, and we were I was tired. It's slow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very slow. I mean, lots of people are talking. They really enjoyed it. So I'm and me and my husband looks like, when are we gonna attempt to do it? Because maybe we should be very full of energy before we start watching again. Because while we were very tired and watching, it was interesting-ish. But most of the time I was just like, come on, man, show me something going on here. But very broody, kind of youngish Batman. Right. And you have Andy Serkis as a Alfred, which was surprising because I didn't realize who the actual main cast was. And then we have a Catwoman, the Kravitz girl. She's like this thick, like she's so thin. Catwoman is very sleek and stuff, but she's very convalescent, like in comic books.
Right.
And then she's great, by the way. I'm not saying, but her figure was like this. It's like nothing.
Right.
It's like you can break it, like a matchstick, and she breaks in half. Anyway. Yeah,
I'm curious to see, because I'm really curious to see the makeup, what's his name who plays the Penguin there. Seeing those stills, unbelievable. Like it looks like an incredible job was done to put that character together.
Yeah, so we were guessing, me and like I said to my husband, you know who his dad is? Because my husband wasn't aware of cast either.
Uh-huh.
So I said, do you know who? Because I knew. So I saw some pictures. I said, do you know who he is? And he's like, no. And I told him. He's like, what? Is
Yeah.
that him?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely very good makeup. Fantastic.
Total
It looks
transformation.
nothing like whatever you think Pinkman looks like. Anyway,
Right.
Batman.
Yeah, no, I'm curious to see it. I mean, I will see it eventually. I do, you know, I'm curious to see how it goes, see what it looks like.
I definitely want to finish because
Yeah.
I didn't hated it, Colin Farrell, yes, but I wasn't, as I say, first hour wasn't intrigued much because I didn't know, you know, like it's retelling again. So if you go back again to the same thing, you know, like parents dead, what's happening, and then but Riddler, intriguing. I can
Cool.
see the last thing what was more intriguing than anything else. Creepy as well.
Right.
Not your Riddler of your 50s.
Right. Yeah.
Or a typical Riddler you know of. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sweet. Damien, do you have a last one you want to show us?
Well, there's 3 comics here, each of which I read part of. I'm just gonna. This one's called Classic Pulp Robots.
Nice cover.
And yeah, it's a very nice cover by Alex Schomburg, who was kind of a famous pulp cover painter. But they're comics on the inside, and it's I guess out of copyright stuff. So here's a Jack Kirby one about a computer that wants to be a human, and so his creator builds him a robot body, but when he sees himself in a mirror and realizes he doesn't look like a human, he kills himself.
Wow.
Oh, lovely.
Wow.
It's just like that.
And that's the end of the story. So
That's amazing. Wow.
It doesn't give you any information of like when it was published. It's written by Jack Kirby, pencils by Jack Kirby, inks by Kirby and Simon. And then I haven't read the rest of this. So it's got this weird one that looks like it's half photographs, half drawings.
Yeah. That's weird.
And I wish it would tell you where they originally printed and what their era was. There's a black and white one, so I just haven't read it all. But the next one I'll read is a Ditko one here called The Most Terrible Fate. So the one thing I feel like, well, Ditko's dead now, but when they reprint things by these people, even though they're out of copyright, I feel like they should pay the artists a reprint fee.
Right.
Or the artist family.
Yeah.
Because you're making money off of their work, even if legally you don't have to.
Right.
And so then this is Source Point, and also by Source Point, I just grabbed at the same time Sham Comics.
Oh, my.
And I thought it was the same thing, just a reprint of choice out of copyright old comics. Because if you look at it, it looks the same.
Sure does.
But this is one of those things where someone rewrote all the captions to be funny. So this is one that was art from Black Cat, and it's art by Bob Powell, who seems like quite a good artist.
Very much so.
But the dialogue's all rewritten to make out that he's someone tripping on acid trying to get to the comic book store.
That's a bummer.
So I don't know what the original story was. It's mildly funny this way. And I'm intrigued by this kind of shtick.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also feel like if you're going to do this, why not, like, all you have to do is the writing. Why not do really good writing?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's mildly funny, but it feels like a first pass. So I haven't read all the stories in here yet. I did read this one, which is a 2-page one drawn by Doug Wildey. So early work by Doug Wildey, who we were finding work by him in those Eclipse anthologies from the 80s.
Yeah.
This is from 1958, and it's just 2 pages, and it was again mildly funny. But so, and then the piece de resistance. But again, I want to read the real thing is a Jack Kirby thing.
Oh
yeah.
Wow. People find a door into an art dimension from 1957, originally published in Alarming Tales. So it's all a joke in the dialogue and stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing is they in one of the stories they make jokes about the boring captions. The captions are boring, even with their rewriting of them.
Yeah.
But this looks incredible. The guy jumps through a door or a portal and ends up with his whole body turned into modern art. And then later his body, he gets his body back, but he's being attacked by modern art.
And see, that's crazy. Kirby, like,
yeah,
got Ditko all over it. But
I know. I was thinking, did Ditko see this? Or maybe Kirby was already seeing Ditko work that looked like this.
Hello, Zesty.
Hello.
Oh, the original one here, yeah. Because there is a scene where he goes to get glasses, but it looks like he goes blind in the end. So anyway, they may not have been that good stories in the first place. I don't know because I can't compare.
Yeah,
but I'd love to compare the original to this.
Right. Then someone making a mockery of it. You know what I mean? Like.
And it just shows you, Jack Kirby was just up to so many different things in different places that we don't even know about. Like the one about the robot. And then this one, the artist is John Guinta from 1950. I feel like I've heard that name before. It's kind of nice art. And they rewrote it to be a joke on Conan. But again, it's not that funny. And after a while, I stopped reading all the captions. Although there are funny moments. But I can't, so it's, I don't know. I just wish if you're going to do this, that you be funnier.
Right.
But it's still kind of intriguing. Nice artwork throughout. And probably, it's quite possible the original story was kind of boring too. I wish I could, but I wish I'd marked the more funny lines, but
right. I think the enjoyment of reading some of that stuff, you're not reading them because they're mind-blowing stories.
Right.
You're reading them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think at its best, this comic is a bit like Mystery Science Theater or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of commenting on itself.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the jokes just fall completely flat, or are just boring. There's kind of they're fun joke ads. Actually, I liked them. This one is about selling baseballs, and it ends, "Join my elite sales force today and get your hands on my musty old balls." That was one of the better jokes. And let's see, there was this other joke ad, which is about how to tell really disgusting, dirty jokes and get away with it. Yeah. And it's supposedly a booklet you'll get written by Dane Cook.
Oh, yeah.
Gee, according to this book, I'm not being hacky enough. It says I can get away with really filthy bits if the audience thinks I'm being ironic. Now you can tell really dirty jokes and get away with it. Beloved superstar comedian Dane Cook will teach you everything he knows about comedy. Let him share his secrets with you. It's a master class in funny, a symposium in hilarity. All it will cost you is your undying gratitude and $1. And you can also get his other books, How to Steal Jokes from Beginners and Advanced Joke Stealing. Anyway, even losers can tell filthy jokes absolutely free. So anyway, it's mildly amusing.
Right.
It's an intriguing project. I used to talk about making a fanzine. If I ever do that, I think it would be fun to remove the dialogue from a few pages and just do it. It is kind of at a fanish level. This
totally
looked like a professional comic, and I bought it at my comic shop, but it was very fanish.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you say you had a third one as well there too?
Oh, I've read part of this thing called Santos Sisters, which in a similar way, it almost looks like something published by Archie Comics that then someone else wrote different dialogue for. Although I believe it's original art. Like when Archie does superheroes or something.
Oh yeah, because of those letters and stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems to be about these two sisters. Sometimes it's kind of dirty stuff. The funniest one I read so far, just in the middle of this Archie looking thing, Don Quixote shows up, but wearing his underwear, and he's talking to some prostitutes, and he doesn't know they're prostitutes. And that here he's talking to a mailbox. He says, you know, what a pleasure to meet a fellow knight. May the road rise up to meet you in your travels. It's all, you know, I like this comic. I
Right.
don't know if I need any more of it. I've only read half of it so far. It's really thick. It's from Floating World. So I don't know if this is something people already know about who are hip. Because this says it at the back, it has this black and white one and says it's their first story. Although it might be a joke on first stories, although it looks a little, the art style is a little different here. So like in their first story, the girl finds out at the end of this, she's going, it's her 18th birthday, and she finds out on her 18th birthday she turns into a werewolf. And that doesn't help her popularity at high school. So it's kind of like an underground comic, kind of like a postmodern goof on things.
Yeah.
But in another one I liked, they're sitting around, the two sisters are roommates, and they're sitting around with one of their boyfriends, and they watch this TV show about cartoon bees getting drunk. And it's just a couple pages of the cartoon bees getting drunk. I thought that was clever. And then at the end, one sister says, "We'll be in my bedroom," and the other sister says, "Have fun banging my sister, Dirk."
Oh, Jesus.
So it does feel kind of like someone, and the cover looks very much like an Archie comic.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
So it's maybe somewhat in this same aesthetic of taking stuff that looks old and making jokey dialogue with it. So anyway, I don't know. I haven't finished reading this. Oh, I've been muted.
Nope, sorry. I pushed the wrong button. I pushed the wrong one. Sorry.
Oh, you've unmuted me now.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Yeah, you're good.
Anyway, I'm enjoying this. So this is probably the best of that bunch. But I haven't had time to finish reading it.
I found the cover of those alarming tales. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, cool.
Hold on. Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
My fat fingers keep pushing the wrong button. There you go.
So that's the cover of the one of the
nice cover.
Yeah. So Jack Kirby is inside, and this is a Severin cover, by the way.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, my phone. You know. Like,
yeah.
Gloss everywhere. Anyway, so I just I'll show you.
It feels like there's always new layers of comic book history to stumble upon.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's neat seeing those reprints too. Like that first one, is it more on like a newsprint kind of paper? Because it even had that look to it as you were flipping through.
You know, they've recreated a newsprint texture right in the printing, I think.
Oh, hey.
It's not slick paper.
Okay.
It's not newsprint, but it looks more newsprinty than it is.
Yeah, it really does, especially on camera here. Yeah. Yeah, that one looks pretty neat. That one looks, I'll have to keep my eyes out. So is that a newer one? When did that come out?
I think it came out either this week or last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I asked my shop to order it. I saw it in the previews catalog. Source Point is a weird publisher. It's worth keeping an eye out for their stuff. You just never know. I'm trying to remember what the last Source Point thing I got. But I remember liking it, but not. It was completely different than this.
Right.
Have you heard that Bone has been cancelled TV by Netflix? Jeff Smith.
I didn't know there was a Bone TV show.
I didn't know there was either. Yeah.
Canceled before it came on, or has there already been like a season or something?
No, never came through because they changed the budgeting towards animated movie or whatever TV show stuff. And so Jeff Smith.
Oh, that's too bad. That would have made a good show, I would think, because it's such a long story. I was hoping you'd say Usagi was canceled.
Well, I guess.
But I don't have to watch it.
Maybe he said that he wanted.
I don't think it was a vampire title, Andrew. I just can't remember what it was. But whatever it was, it got me looking at their pages in the previews.
Yeah.
Maybe I can find it by looking at my
So
stuff.
got canceled before it even started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bummer. Yeah, I thought something was going on because I saw some stuff on Twitter, some bone talk here and there. So, but I didn't really read any deeper.
Because it was because they announced on Netflix.
Mhm.
Everybody started talking about it, and people start reading it more. He started to like, oh look, like why nobody else been reading and blah blah blah. Everybody got hyped up about everything and stuff like that. And so now they just said something that Netflix actually canceled it now, not even gonna go through at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's better maybe, because if they would have used the same animation like what Usagi is going to be like, I know. Maybe
Right.
that's why they didn't, because he maybe was putting his foot down saying, I want
Yeah.
this like the way it's supposed to look. So
Let's hope, because that very well could be a thing for sure. Yeah.
But I'm glad. I'm not. People go read Bone if you haven't read it.
Mhm.
It's a fantastic little tale.
Yeah.
Lots of issues to read, but it's so nice. And it's great to read to the kids, even though it's a bit scary some moments, but no, that's great.
It wasn't too intense reading it with Lily. She loved it. Like, we really enjoyed reading that together. I'm glad we finally took the plunge and did it. She loved it. And then reading that Rose, I think that I talked about here too, with Vest doing the art, like that just honestly, that blew both of us away. We were very surprised at how much we enjoyed that. And, same thing with her. She was loving the art as well too. So
that's a fantastic little tale. That's where it even gets that phone book reprint, like Stray Bullet has, and then it's well worth the time invested. And it's not that much to pay for the phone book at all, to be honest.
Right.
What's hardcovers or issue number 1, the first print. If you want to get all that would be a thing for collector anyway. But yeah.
Well, there you go. Smith worked in animation for years. He has high standards. Yeah. Well, and especially about his creation, right? Like, I'm sure he has a very specific way he wants it to be portrayed, right? So, which is great. Nothing wrong with that.
And that's why I'm saying, I don't think it's gonna like really. I mean, maybe because he would be exposed even more for people's eyes. That's the sad part of it. But yeah, I don't regret. I mean, sometimes
I kind of feel like the colorized versions kind of kicked off the whole boom of kids' middle reader graphic novels.
Yeah.
Which is now like the main part of the comic sales.
Yeah.
That and manga.
Yeah.
And what is going on with DC lately? I wanted to ask. Maybe Damien, you heard, or you, Terrence, you heard.
Well, the company got sold again.
Oh, really?
So Warner Brothers was bought up by AT&T, and they gutted DC, right? They fired half the editorial staff.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when they started raising the prices on all the comics, right?
Yeah.
And now DC costs more. And now, and then after like a year or so, AT&T realized we don't know what the hell we're doing with Warner Brothers. Nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
DC is just a minor part of that.
Yeah.
So they spun it off into this other company that's now being run by the Discovery Channel, which is bizarre. So it's called Discovery Warner, and it's a whole new company. So the guy who's the CEO of Discovery is now in charge of everything that Warner owned, including DC Comics. But I haven't heard yet what changes they're going to make again. It's amazing that DC keeps going, because with so many people fired, and then who knows.
Yeah.
And so the people that they hired from AT&T who were running it and making all these decisions are already gone.
Oh, wow.
I think they saw, the main guy saw that what was coming, and he gave notice a few months ago before.
Yeah. Smart man, got the fuck out of there.
And he was the one who fired everyone, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, because I heard that they blaming Jim Lee for the demise of the DC comic books, because he got in charge.
I don't know what the hell Jim Lee does.
Yeah.
You never hear what he does.
Yeah, exactly. But
because there was some other guy they hired who came from like esports or something, who was the one who was really in charge. And I just don't know I don't know if Jim Lee is just wisely just kind of quietly working away, or if he doesn't actually do anything. And
Keep it a low profile so he doesn't get fired.
And just kind of a figurehead or something.
Just to get the
Right.
paycheck and then make sure I'm not seen anywhere. And then
I mean, he's the only person who hasn't been fired. 10 years
Yeah.
ago, you look back at DC, none of those people are there anymore.
Wow.
At
Wow.
the very top level, except
Because-
Jim Lee.
is there a rumor saying that Didio is coming back as well to write comics?
I don't know. I
I'm-
heard he was forming a company with somebody.
I heard
I
the
can't remember. I didn't get a lot of details. I just saw that flash by. a few
I don't
months
know
ago.
where I heard it, but something maybe I've read it. Like you read through those comics sometimes. Like sometimes I go wander through and then I see something and it's just like, what? Too much news. I know you go away. But when I see Didio, because Didio is like it was like everywhere because of whatever happened to New 52 and after that. Anyway, so I read somewhere saying that he might be coming back, actually writing comic books back again. So I was like, what?
He's not a very good writer, though.
No,
I
because
think he's a decent editor in chief, but I don't think he's a great writer.
because he was you were mentioning earlier while we were speaking about OMAC,
he was writing OMAC with Keith Giffen. Yeah,
exactly. So
that was the best comic I've ever read by him.
Mhm.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
But the others that I've read by him were not that good.
Mm.
What was I going to say? Something else about
Are they changing the logo again of DC comic books? I heard.
maybe that would make sense. I don't, with a new CEO in charge, but
Right. They come in and make your imprint.
Someone here, I think, Architectural Foam Panels and Columns says it's still under the AT&T umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still like a situation where AT&T owns, when sometimes companies merge and they own each other's stock and stuff.
Yeah.
So AT&T does have a huge financial aspect in it, but the whole the umbrella management over Warner Brothers is different now because it's the people who are running Discovery. At least that's what I've read.
Uh-huh. It's always interesting with this kind of stuff. And you got in I think I remember when we got into the YouTube and stuff and New 52 started it. I remember what people saying, oh, what is this New 52? Why they even started it? Everything was great. And they were shitting on New 52 and then allow people coming back saying, actually, New 52, some stories was really actually fantastic. But then
there was some good stuff.
Yeah, so it's everything just unravels all the time in the same thing we complain about. I hope they will survive. That's the one main thing.
Yeah.
I just can you stop with those Batman stuff? It's everywhere, man. It's just like I can't take it anymore. That's why I don't even look in DC stuff. I mean, I'm interested because I keep on looking for information, but never went because of Tinian is the only one that seems to be very consistent. It seems to be
Birth of is that the one making fun of Batman?
Yeah, that's all you need.
I'm amazed he's not sued or anything, but
it is so funny. It's so funny.
He's so below the radar, I guess, that they don't even know he exists.
Absolutely. They probably don't.
I found some of that at Floating World a couple of years ago, I remember.
Yeah.
That comic book on eBay goes for somebody bought in here for 50 UK, I don't know, whatever, 50 pounds. For 50
that's crazy, man, because it's still available. I think from the artist. Go to Josh Simmons' website. I think it's still available from him. I got it from Domino. I think they still had some copies left. So it's I'm pretty sure it's out there.
Kayfabe mentioned it, so I guess that's what people do.
That does a big part of it for sure.
Those are the two best DC comics right now, I would say. Lonely City and Human Target. Plus maybe the Dark Knights of Steel. The miniseries about within the fantasy world.
Right. I'm liking the Ram V Swamp Thing too. I'm digging that as well.
I'm sorry, I don't even read that, so I shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Those are the only good ones.
No. I don't think there's much else good, but
It feels like there's, despite DC's problems, it still feels like there's a little more good stuff at DC than at Marvel for me, anyway.
Yeah.
So is it true in that Dark Knight of Steel? So they taking the story of Superman coming to actually birth on Earth, and then Batman is his brother or half brother.
Yeah, so the parents come with him to fantasy Earth.
Oh, so he doesn't go
medieval fantasy
baby.
Earth.
It's not a capsule baby, yeah.
It's a capsule with a baby and the parents somehow all squished in together, and then they kind of take over and get a kingdom, and Daddy Superman has an affair with. Well, I don't want to give away too much, but they're half brothers.
Yeah.
You already learned that.
I read it somewhere, so I guess it's just spoiler. I didn't even realize. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's a big one. Sorry, people.
It's not revealed till the 4th or 5th issue. Yeah.
How is it?
Thank you, AFPC. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, this kayfabe stuff is becoming a bit annoying, isn't it, people?
Yeah, I mean, they're having an effect for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, on eBay prices, definitely. That's for sure. You know.
Well, they were showing the Corbin thing that I think there's just no way to buy that, no matter how much money you have.
No, exactly right. Yeah, those Chris Pitzer episodes were really, really good. Like he showed off some really fantastic stuff. That Corbin was just stunning, like unreal.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Where do they get them from? Like, I mean, do they go in those little nooks and crannies and just? He
got it when they went to see the exhibit. He bought it he tells the story. Yeah.
At the exhibit honoring him at Angoulême. So you have to actually be there to buy it.
And he said it was expensive. Even when it was new, it was really expensive. But he said, I couldn't leave without picking one up. So he rushed back to the gift shop to scoop up a copy. And because that was the only place it was available. So yeah, in a very limited run or whatever. So
how much is it now?
Yeah, I haven't even looked. I don't even think. I
couldn't find any copies for sale.
Yeah.
I looked briefly just because I was curious.
Yeah.
I couldn't find copies.
Yeah.
Because it's probably just a few hundred copies, I'm guessing, for the people who were there.
Yeah.
And most of them probably want to keep it.
Yeah.
Jesus. They come out with all the stuff like, you mentioned that video about that Darwin Cook's Martini version.
Oh, man. Oh. It looks beautiful.
Is that out of print?
No, it's just coming out. It's the second Martini edition, but it has Brubaker and Phillips backup story taking one of the characters, Brofeld. I'm blanking on the character's name, but doing like a side story. So nothing that was from the Stark books, just doing their own story. Very short.
So
I haven't read any of those because I meant to buy the Martini editions.
Yeah.
So the Martini edition, the first time they came out, the hardcover, is that the volume 1, or this is the one you're talking about? Because I thought that's reprint of the first one.
The first one has the hunter and the outfit, and then the second one has the score and Slayground, I believe, because those were the 4 books that he did. So it just collects them in that oversized. And then there's a boatload. It looks like almost a book's worth of extra stuff, like pages, preliminary art. When the guy would watch that video, it's a fucking beautiful collection. It's the exact same size as the other Martini edition because I've got that first one. But this one is just it looks just as amazing. I'm worried that it's going to go out of print pretty quickly and I just can't afford it right now. So I may have to kind of cross my fingers and see how it goes.
I see.
But that looks like its list price is $99.
Yeah. That's what I've seen everywhere.
But probably, I'm being lucky being in the US can probably get it 40%
discount. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have the first one, I'd say snatch it up because it looks beautiful. What's his channel? Off My Shelves? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Off My Shelves.
Yes. I forgot even. Yeah, because I wanted that one, but I thought that was out of print because everybody's like, "Oh, look, Martini edition. This is fantastic." Darwin Cook, blah blah blah, and then he died, and everything's like, everything got snapped away. Because that's why I thought that this one, which is coming, is called Last Call. I thought it's reprinting the first one because it was oh, for fuck's sake! Now I'm a bit more upset than anything because I thought I will be able to get into the not reprinted anymore version.
That's the only reason I got my hands on the first copy is me and a friend of mine locally here found out about it months when it was announced, and we pre-ordered it from our shop and said, whatever you got to do, get us copies of this in. And they managed to get some in for us. But that's the only reason we got on that first one, because we just heard about it in more than enough time to kind of make sure that we secured one right away. Right. So.
Because I read, I took from library those hardcovers, a couple of them. I haven't read all 4 of them. I think first one or second one, I don't remember which one. They were fantastic. They were tiny.
They're beautiful.
They're little ones. A little version, but it looked so great. They're
like this. They're this size. So again with our comic, you know, just a little bit tinier than that, right? But they're really, really nice. Another thing, like these were I bought them right off the shelf right away too. Just didn't want to miss on them, right? So I think this is the score. So they're all beautiful, really, really great.
And I think those are even hard to find now in hardcover.
I think they're all out of print now too. Yeah.
Mm.
Which is unfortunate. I mean, I guess I understand why. I don't know how well they would have sold the first time around, but I feel like just his name on it alone would have sold some copies. So kind of surprised.
I'm seeing paperbacks in print.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, paperback is definitely would be print, but the hardcovers, which everybody wants to look at that for, because they were really nicely bound as well, isn't it, Terrence? They bound really well.
Oh yeah, no, they're great, and it's the same with the omnibus edition too. Like they did it really well. While we're talking about it, we also had the same friend of mine. I think he got these for me. He scored these for me. I'll show you. They're in these treasury sized bags, but these were like preliminary before the first one came out. Before the first books came out, they did kind of like this, just a little bit bigger than magazine size, like a preview. So you get a really nice, oversized. It doesn't tell the whole story, but this is the man with the getaway face, and then it has an ad for the outfit. So maybe I'm getting the order wrong. Maybe the outfit was first, and I don't remember. Anyway, so there's that one, and then there was another one here too. Yeah, these were like retailer previews and stuff like this. So this is Man with the Getaway Face. So same thing, just gives you a sampling of the story itself. But it's beautiful to see in like this bigger size, right? Because those books are so tiny. It's great to get like just a taste, and then some Darwin Cook ads in the back too. So
yeah, fantastic, very good.
Yeah, I'm done. If you guys are done, if you,
I wanted to ask a question, another one. But I'm not picking that. What is Marvel coming out with this Marvel Masterworks, but not the trade, but a single format, bigger single issues, and charge you for more than like £10? I think it's called Mighty Marvel something, and they coming out like issue number 1 of Strange, which used to be printed. I don't know. It's not like like a Masterworks. They have the hardcovers. They come out, and it's called Marvel Masterworks.
Yeah.
Now we come out with this single, I guess, issue format.
So are they like Treasury Edition size?
Is that what it is? Is because
I haven't heard about this, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Where I need to. I mean, you can stop the video. I can just look at the next view. You want that, but I found it. I was like, "What is this?" Because I've, when you look online, because you don't see physical, I don't even know what it looks like. You just have a picture. Right. So I'm gonna find that
picture, the cover kind of thing.
Mighty something. Okay, let's see. Me never decline. Come on, cookies, go away. There. But it looks like a trade, okay? But it's like really cheap.
Huh.
Oh, you know what? They are reprinting those Marvel Masterworks for kids in the kid size. In the same size they do Bone in now.
Oh, right.
And they're charging much less money because the kids market, everyone expects to only spend $15 or something.
Well, that's one of them. So the X-Men. It's called Mighty Marvel Masterworks.
I have a couple of them in the other room.
So they are smaller versions, basically.
They're like those kids' paperbacks. But they're the same, like the first 10 issues of Fantastic Four, the X-Men, or the Hulk.
And I was wondering, what is it? Because it's like they don't show you, because they show you just a picture, and I don't know what it is. But because they have Spider-Man, they going for all Spider-Man stuff. They have I think Doctor Strange.
If you have less money, it's a good way to, rather than if you get it a little smaller, but you get to read the first 10 issues of those various things for very little money.
Talking about the Darwin Cook guy who's actually kind of have the same artist, Cho. So that's his cover for Avengers in that version. There you go.
Yeah, he did a bunch. He did a really nice Doctor Strange one as well too.
Yeah, they use him to give the retro feel, but
Yeah.
slightly slicker, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't think digest size AFPC. I think a little bit bigger than
little
the
bigger.
digest. Yeah.
There you go. So there you go. You know, I'll find that. Thank you guys, because I was so like, what pitch? It's like, you know, like not the full thing, but then what maybe I don't know what kind of format it was even going to, because they were saying like single-ish kind of, I don't know, whatever I just read.
Right.
So that's great, and I might pick up something, because like something that really oh, there you go.
They're
Like
about this size.
Okay. Yeah.
So bigger than a digest, but smaller than a comic.
Right. Right.
Kind of a standard trade paperback size, really, which is what they do kids graphic novels in usually.
I'm more probably look for that, you know, Thor. Sometimes you can't find them earlier stuff. If we have something like that, I'm definitely gonna be on the lookout.
Yeah,
why not?
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, like we feel it's like difficult to get hold of. Why the hell not? Like Avengers, they have that the hostage of Earth star cover and stuff. Interesting. Anyway, I just wanted to ask because I wasn't aware what it is. Anyway, great. Yeah,
Cool.
they have the Asgard Loki version. There you go.
Yeah. The covers make
yeah.
them very tempting.
Yeah, they totally do. Yeah.
Are they in color like normal, or is it
they're in color. They're in color.
Okay. Look, they even have the Jack Kirby version of the Thor.
Yeah. The crazy thing about kids' books, I'm imagining that Terrence has noticed this. Like you can get a hardback kids novel for nearly half the price of an adult hardback. It's the same materials and everything.
Yeah, totally.
They just figure they can charge more to grown-ups, so they do it.
Yeah.
But so kids' books are always a good bargain.
Yeah, no, totally they are. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Right on, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us, everybody in the chat. Always good to see you. Ragamuffin is away for a couple of weeks. Work is picking up, he was telling me in a chat. So we won't have the tags. So if somebody else, some other adventurous viewer out there wants to do that, hey, we won't stop you. But if not, that's fine too.
But big shout out to Ragamuffin, because it is awesome when he does that.
Huge.
Because I like last time you guys were on, and I watched part of it live, and then I came back, and with his things I could go back and listen to the parts I hadn't already listened to.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing that he does. We really appreciate it. We do pretty good with telling him every single week too. So, but he deserves a shout out, because that's a bit of work, right? It's really nice of him to do that for us. So, right on, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
Zesty says he would like to see this Kafka one somewhere back in our list of.
Yes,
I went through this pretty thoroughly at some point in one of our hangouts.
It's true. Yes. Episode number 263 or something. I don't even know. We're not that up to speed. Actually, we could go through the tags. Yeah, there's a project.
There you go. We could go back and look at the tags, or you could go back, Zesty Clam, and look for Ragamuffin's tag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on, everybody.
It's a good book. If you like Crumb and you like Kafka, it's excellent.
Yeah. It's a good combo.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you next week. Later, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your week.